for Oklahoma. Mentioned the change in the rotation, so Kay Crossland gets bumped up a day in the rotation. No change in his routine because they had an early series last week, Thursday through Saturday. So the junior from Rockwall, Texas, comes in at 1-2 with an ERA just north of 7 as he makes his 6th start of the year.
Yeah, the fastball, it's up to 90-94, 4-pitch mix. So he's a guy that when you think about what a Friday starter looks like, it's every bit of what Kay Crossland is. But now the tone setter, can he be the guy that Kyson Witherspoon has been all year? He's had up and down throughout the conference. He's had a good game, a bad game, a good game, a bad game. Well, if you're an Oklahoma fan, guess what the next one is? It's that good game. If he can match what he did against Alabama, Oklahoma's got a great shot.
Well, he's allowed 5 home runs in his last 3 starts, but as you look at the Vanderbilt batting order, this is not a slugging Vanderbilt team. Jonathan Vastine, though, is on a tear, and a bit of a shuffle to the lineup, getting a lefty today. Vandy's 5-2 against left-handed starters on the season. Vastine's got 13 hits in his last 6 games, and he's hitting .385 in league play, which is a big departure from where Vandy is as a team. Just .249 in SEC action. Both of these teams like to run. In fact, Vandy had 9 bags in its midweek win against Dayton. Ready to go tonight. It is just about perfect. Not a cloud in the sky. Temperatures in the upper 70s. May dip down into the mid 60s before we are finished tonight. As Vandy and Oklahoma meet up for just the 5th time ever. Last met in the Tempe Regional 2008. Jacob Humphrey will get things started for this Vanderbilt team. Commodores and Sooners going in different directions coming in. Vandy has won 5 in a row. Oklahoma has lost 4 straight. And Crossland's first offering is in for a strike. 0-1 to Jacob Humphrey. Senior from Standish, Maine. Humphrey is hitting .333 with a couple of home runs on the year. And swings through that one. 0-2. Here's Crossland's 0-2 to Humphrey to get things started tonight. And dip just a bit inside. Eddie Newsom has the plate for our crew this evening.
I love that first 0-2 pitch. First time he's getting ahead of the guy, going right with that fastball in, trusting that mid-90s fastball, trying to bust it in on the hands.
Humphrey's riding a 5-game hit streak. He went 3 for 13 in the Florida series. That off-speed pitch misses away. 2 balls and 2 strikes now to Jacob Humphrey. This is a Vandy team, and Lance, you brought it up with Tim Corbin, coming off of its first ever sweep in Gainesville. That brought a smile to Tim Corbin's face. And as you pointed out, there's not a whole lot of first in his career anymore. 2-2. Swung right through. 95. 1 down.
I love like when we said it, like you're right, he did smile and he was like, he started thinking, you could see like the hamster running in that head going, wait up. You're right. We won a couple, but we never won all 3. So yeah, that was a good league here.
He is a bundle of energy. He's back in the third base box this year. He took nearly the whole year off from coaching third last season. 23rd year as the head man of Vandy. He's won a pair of national titles. No one is so aligned with its program success as Tim Corbin is with Vanderbilt baseball. In for a strike to Mac Rose. In a bit of a shuffle to Corbin's lineup today. Rose was the backup catcher up in the 2-hole. They moved R.J. Austin down to the 3 spot. And Lance, it feels like a lot of these moves dictated by having a lefty on the mound to start for Oklahoma.
I agree. That lefty's up there. I said 90-94 with the fastball. He's pumping some 5 and 6 already. So maybe that little opportunity to get on a Friday night, that first game, set the tone. Maybe he's going to relish in that role.
Here's the line of the pitch to Rose, and he chips it foul. Rose came to Vandy from McClellan Community College. Pardon me, he's from Rockwall, Texas. Always Skip Johnson's son Tyler, the head coach at McClellan now, took over a couple of years ago. Mac hit .259 with 1 home run. His average is sub 200 in league play. Rose is a 20th round pick of the Rangers coming out of McClellan a couple of years ago. 1-2 from Crossland. Is that the slider? Missed upstairs.
Yeah, 84. Got a little on the side of it. Not the pitch you wanted to, but you get a .12, trying to be a little protective on that slider instead of just letting it go.
Whip rate of a slider around 45%. Changeup's got a big one too. That fastball up in the zone.
I like the fastball so far. You haven't seen a good swing on it. The foul balls have been there, but for the most part, you're not seeing the Commodore hitters really being able to put that ball in play hard or even a foul ball.
Got Humphrey swinging to start the game. Vanderbilt 15th in the SEC in team batting average at 277. That dips all the way to 249 in league play. They have struggled slugging the ball, 427 as a team. That's also dead last in the SEC. Here's Crossland's payoff to Rose. And he sends it high into center field. Jason Walk is behind the logo. 2 down. And now R.J. Austin. So Austin, a sophomore from Atlanta, came in as a preseason All-American. He has played all over the diamond for Vanderbilt. Came up as a shortstop. Last year he was at first base. And he's getting his bat going after a good series against Florida. Went 5 for 13, but in the 2 conference series prior to that was just 3 for 24. Changeup in for a strike. Nope, that was a fastball. What do we got?
We got 92.
If I'm going to keep guessing, I need you to correct me and tell me when I'm wrong.
No, I'm not supposed to do that to you.
There's some.
What we got is a guy throwing first pitch strikes. That's what you got with establishing that fastball early. But one thing about R.J. Austin, it's a little different. You think right-handed hitters really hit well off of lefties.
And this one's skied into center. Walk is there again. And that's what finish that thought later. Crossland puts him down in order in the first inning of this Friday night against Vandy. Jackson Willits, who's perfect 8 for 8 on the base paths this year. He's hit .345 in the league.
Well, he's a guy that fills up the stat sheet too. The doubles, the triples, the home runs, everything you can think about. Just a hard-nosed ball player. And you're right, Tom. This is a team that wants to run, and they want to run a lot. Especially if they get ahead early, they will look to run and put a lot of pressure on that defense.
So J.D. Thompson, we told you about him a moment ago, gets the ball for Vanderbilt. 2-2 with a 4.10 ERA for the junior out of Rusk, Texas. This will be his 9th start of the season. He has struck out 50 and walked only 12 in 41 2/3.
And a guy with the stuff and the command, right? That's what you want. When you think of what a Friday night guy is, it's going to be outstanding stuff. The 4-pitch mix, the fastball is really good. But you might see a little bit more velocity from Kate Crossland, but just the way he throws across his body makes it really tough on the hitter to pick it up.
Thompson 2 starts ago allowed 3 home runs in the Arkansas series. He starts with Trey Gamble here, and the first pitch is near the chin, 1-0.
Well, he's had a lot of the same type of results as Kate Crossland. Started off against Auburn with a 5-inning 5-run. Then he had a 6 1/3 against A&M with a 1-run. Then a 5-run again, and then 0 runs against Florida. So it's kind of been the good, the bad, the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Who's going to show up today?
Behind in the count to Gamble, 2-0. Gamble is 5th in the SEC in on-base percentage. And big reason for that, he's drawn 27 walks on the year. And now ahead in the count 3-0. Gamble had a couple of starts in the LSU series that turned into an LSU sweep, and then a midweek beatdown thanks to Dallas Baptist. In for a strike, 3-1, and the result is Oklahoma has lost 4 straight coming into this one. And the Sooners have dropped 6 of their last 8. Ball 4. And Gamble given a free pass to start the game. This is an Oklahoma team I mentioned a second ago, very aggressive on the base paths. They lead the SEC in steals and attempts, 74 for 88 as a team. And Gamble a perfect 9 for 9. Skip Johnson in his 8th season as a head man here at OU. Played for a national championship just a couple of years ago. Long-time assistant to Augie Garrido as the pitching coach at Texas. And the first pitch to Jackson Willits. This is the strike zone, 1-0. What is the concern level for J.D. Thompson when it comes to the Oklahoma run game here in the first?
Well, it's got to be a lot of picks. You have to pay attention, because if you don't, I mean, you're talking every single guy, right? Gamble's got 9, Willits 8, Carmichael 8, 7 for 7, Sam Christians. I mean, they have everybody that can run.
And there they go. Barchi's throw down came in on a hop and off the glove of Jaden Davis. Gamble 10 for 10. He jammed his thumb going into the bag, maybe?
Yeah, he just gave the thumbs up that he's good. You can see it didn't feel good.
Yeah, but which thumb did he use?
Barcy looks like he feels like there might have been a little interference with Jackson Willits.
Not shown, and a break for third. Barchi's throw is late there. He came off the bag. Gamble comes off the bag, and remember that thumb on the left hand got jammed on the previous slide, and I wonder if he wasn't strong enough to keep that grip.
Thought it was a great dirt ball read, but an unbelievable block by Mr. Barcy, and then a perfect throw. And you're right, the turf, if that's dirt, he's safe, but the turf, he slides right past the bag. Great job right there by Brody Johnson. Keep that glove on him, and you can see him as he gets off, gets that easy out.
And we thank those of you who've been watching softball from Auburn. Easy for me to say. We're at Eldale Mitchell Park in Norman, Oklahoma. Game 1 of a 3-game series. Tom Hardy alongside Lance Cormier. And in the first inning, Vandy went down in order. Oklahoma with a walk and a stolen base and a caught stealing with the first out. This is Jackson Willits at the plate for the Sooners. Oklahoma has lost 4 in a row. Vandy comes in winners of its last 5. And this one's poked foul by Willits, who's a .311 hitter. Lance, you don't see this very often. He's hitting 30 points higher in league play.
Yeah, locked in when he needs to, and you can see early on how aggressive they want to be. I mean, you have a guy that's hitting .311, like you talked about, .330 in conference play, got the 8 home runs, leading your team, and he was squaring around the bunt the first inning.
Takes a walk. That's back-to-back walks from Vandy's ace J.D. Thompson. Thompson trying to find his rhythm. And now faces Oklahoma catcher Easton Carmichael. Willits before him was on a 6-game streak. Carmichael on a 5-game hit streak. The junior out of Prosper High School in Texas. Committed to Oklahoma as a 15-year-old. Of course, his brother pitched here, pitched in the College World Series with OU. He and his entire family, Oklahoma fans, grew up coming to Oklahoma football games. His dad, Darby, was a catcher here back in the early 90s and played on the CWS team in '92. And his mom, Julie, was an Oklahoma cheerleader. I mean, we got all the bases covered.
He had no shot.
No chance.
There's no way he was going anywhere.
He actually committed before his older brother did. They ended up playing together for a year.
Oh no, that phone call went, hey, D, yes. Didn't even get out of your mouth.
Committed in August of 19, right before his sophomore year of high school. 2-0 to Carmichael. Will wait and throw over.
And that's what you're going to have to see, Tom, is you're going to have to see changing the looks, the timing, holding, looking, lifting the leg picking, slide step picking. You just have to mix everything up to shut down this type of running game.
74 of 88 on the season as a team. Willits is 8 for 8. Upstairs. Well, J.D. Thompson's having a hard time locating the strike zone.
Yeah, that's when you decide to shut it down in the run game if the guy can't throw strikes.
15 pitches, 11 of them have missed the zone. And we'll get a visit early on. How does this work? It's the first inning, and the pitching coach comes out to have a word with you. What is Scott Brown saying, and how is J.D. Thompson receiving?
Yeah, it's just a matter of, hey, he's trying to slow you down, right? The heart rate's starting to spike up a little bit, just trying to get it back in the zone. And you see it's such a positive meeting, but it's just trying to break up the rhythm that he had fallen into. And it happens, right? When you got to talk to most starting pitchers, and they'll have the thing that if you don't get to them early and let them settle in, then they'll start to find that rhythm. Sometimes, especially on the road, different mound, different here, and you're not used to it, you got to find that rhythm, and that's what's making it tough.
First time Vanderbilt's ever played in this ballpark. They played in a regional Stillwater a few years ago. In for a strike, 3-1 now. Carmichael, 5-game hit streak. He's 7 for his last 17. And the Texas native has a bunch of buddies in that other dugout throughout this series. And he looks at ball 4. That is 3 straight walks from J.D. Thompson. This is Vanderbilt pitching staff that comes in one of the best in the country in several different categories. 6th in ERA. Big strikeout staff, better than 12 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched. That's 4th best in the country.
Well, Thompson himself, I mean, it's only 2.5 walks per 9 innings, and so he see 3 in the first 3 hitters. So there's definitely something not comfortable with his mechanics right now. I mean, they're trying to find a pitch, right? It's fastballs out of the zone right there. You got the breaking ball out of the zone as well.
Sam Christensen at the plate. Thompson has walked the first 3 batters of this game. Last time out against Florida, he walked 3 total the entire game, and that was over 4 2/3. That'll work. 1-1.
The biggest thing about Tom is what coaches will preach. He still is only 1 pitch away from getting out of the inning. You make your pitch, let your defense work. You're talking about one of the best defensive ball clubs in the country in Vanderbilt, and you still get out of there with a 0.
5th in the country in fielding percentage. Breaking ball pulled down the line. It's a fair ball. Willits around 3rd. He'll score. Carmichael trails him and will be stopped at the bag. It's a run-scoring double for Sam Christensen.
This is what you see, though, when you got a guy struggling. All of a sudden, he really has to find that zone. It's a curveball. It's not the pitch he wants to, because it's just a get-me-over pitch. And he absolutely pulls that ball right there on the line, right outside the reach. We got double. 2nd and 3rd. 1-0 already.
And it really felt like J.D. Thompson had found his rhythm. And back-to-back strikes for the first time this game. Jason Walk pulls the bunt back. Walk is a sophomore from just north of Atlanta, out of Ackworth, Georgia. Check swing, but good for a strike.
Well, you don't see that play happen very often. The old slash shows the bunt early. Usually you get the guy moving, and Vanderbilt read that really nicely. They didn't leave their defensive positions.
Walk is coming off of a 1 for 11 in the LSU series. It's low 2-1. .283 hitter last year for Walk. Taking a slight dip this season, in for a strike with the fastball. Riley Nelson is playing in over at first base, and Brody Johnson is just a step behind the base path. 2-2. Swinging away, sends a fly ball to right center. Humphrey on his horse. He can't get there. So get 2 home at least. Walk motors to 3rd. The throw coming home is late. And it's a triple for Jason Walk to plate 2 more. And the Sooners have jumped in front 3-0.
Tommy, I have seen him run. I saw a game against Alabama, hit inside the park home run. So this is what you want to see as a baseball fan. You get a ball in the gap, and you got a guy with speed just out of the reach of a great effort right there. But Jason Walk, he had no shot. He was thinking triple the whole way. He wasn't slowing down. I know the throw went home, but there was still no shot to get him at third.
Breaking ball in for a strike to Drew Dickerson. And J.D. Thompson walked the first 3 batters he faced. Leadoff man Trey Gamble was thrown out at third trying to steal. This one's ripped to third. Brody Johnston takes care of it for out number 2, and that brings Walk home. This is going to be a question that comes from a place of naivety, but for J.D. Thompson, can you take a deep breath now that the bases are empty?
You can, and especially his offense has been an offense that's been scrappy all year. They're averaging about 6 to 7 runs a game, so you got to feel comfortable that they're going to do something, but it's tough to give up that 4th spot, especially on the road. But you're right, now that the bases are empty, definitely take a little deep breath.
And the breaking ball misses to Dayton Taki. Junior from Fort Worth, Texas. He played his high school ball at Weatherford High School. The Weatherford Kangaroos. Two and 0. Ended up at Weatherford Community College before coming to OU. And the 30th pitch of the opening frame is a fastball inside, 3-0. This game is not unfolding the way Vanderbilt had in mind, with its ace J.D. Thompson going up against the number 2 starter for OU. Eddie Newsom may have given him a ball inside. 3-1.
You see Taki look back talking to Mr. Newsom, and he started shaking his head like, yeah, that's as far as I'm going to go in there.
Upstairs, another walk. 4th walk issued by J.D. Thompson in the opening inning. He's allowed 4 walks, a double, and a triple. And he, besides the out of the base pass, the only other out came on an RBI ground out.
That was hit pretty well. Right, and that's the tough part, is you got lucky and get that leadoff guy out. So just think what that inning could have been. And so you see why Oklahoma sometimes kind of pulls back that aggression when they're not leading. But now that they have the lead, boy, I'd look to them to be really aggressive.
Taki 4 for 6 on the bases, and first pitch breaking ball up to Kyle Branch, the 8-hole hitter for Oklahoma. Freshman out of Lovejoy High School in Lucas, Texas. Brother Colby slugging shortstop for Georgia. In for a strike, 1-1. Brennan Siebers already getting loose for Vanderbilt. If nothing else, the pitch count is going to be through the roof for J.D. Thompson after the first 3 outs of this game, and not what you want to see game 1 of a series, especially when you consider Oklahoma's got its ace going tomorrow.
Yes, I know. Once Dalton Taki walked, it was one of those, like, on the phone, it's a fire drill. I don't care what, you better get ready as fast as you can down there.
Branch sends a breaking ball sky high behind the plate. Bartsey gives a look. It's going to be out of the concourse. Hey, souvenir. You want, sir? Would you like this baseball?
It hit right in the seat in between them.
Did it really?
Yeah, and that's as many games as you go to and you see, and the ball's going to the stands. Like it hits nothing more often than it hits people. But it went right in between that seat right there, and it just laid there, and so she grabbed it. Easy souvenir.
Too bad she took it from that young man. Here's the 1-2 to the freshman Branch. It's a breaking ball in the air to right. Humphrey is able to settle underneath it. That is a 36-pitch opening inning with 4 walks.
He's in Oklahoma's Kate Crossan put up a 0. J.D. Thompson put up a 4 spot. So that's one of those tough things where you go on the road, you want to set the tone early, But boy, they hit a hot lineup right there, and a lot of it was just self-inflicted wounds by Mr. Thompson with those 4 walks in the first inning.
So Riley Nelson at the plate for Vanderbilt to start the second. Crossland getting the start tonight. Kyson Witherspoon, the Oklahoma ace, had some back tightness after some weightlifting, but you said, I mean, you've been at the ballpark all day today. You had breakfast here. He got up and played catch a little bit down the line in the bullpen, and will be ready to go tomorrow is the word.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where just kind of grabbed him a little bit, and he said, why push it, especially when Cade Crossland was on the same rest, right? Because they played the earlier series last week against LSU Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So he threw Friday. He'd already moved up that day. So it was the same day. So it made it easy. And you're right, I saw him throwing it. To me, when you watch Kyson Witherspoon, it's the easiest mechanics. It's so easy. The ball jumps out of his hand. And I watched him throw out there, a kind of long toss, and then he gets on the mound and throws to a guy that was standing up. Wasn't like pitching, but still, ball's coming out easy.
2-1 to Nelson is fouled back, 2-2. Riley Nelson is from Trophy Club, Texas, at a Byron Nelson High School. A couple of different JUCO stops before he ended up in Nashville. And he really cut down on his K rate. He hadn't struck out the last 4 games. And that strikeout rate was through the roof before that. He went 5 for 10 in the Florida sweep. Late committee, committed in July. 2-2. Strike 3. Second K for Cade Crossland.
I love how it's just a smooth pitch, man. It's 95, 96. Might have been at the top of the zone. You see Nelson react on it, but he's been getting ahead early. I mean, when you start being around the zone, right, that's when the umpire might give you that pitch because, hey, he's there, he's there. All right, it's there. But when you have a guy like Thompson spraying everywhere, that's when you're not going to get it. But I love the way Crossland has started so far.
He's facing Brody Johnston now. And Johnson looks at the first pitch out of the zone. Freshman from Ottawa, Tennessee. Small town outside of Chattanooga, depending on your source. Either 450 in the town, 684, or 406 in the pop. People must have been on vacation when the census takers came through. Grew up a Vandy fan. That went upstairs 2-0. And Johnston used to come to the Vandy camps. Great article in Vandy 247 that said, yeah, I paid the $680. I was one of about 300 kids at summer camp because I always dreamed of coming. And he admitted that he watched that national championship team in 2014. He said, yeah, I kind of bandwagoned. They were so good. They were so dominant. Especially being within the state, how could you not be a fan?
Absolutely, and that's what you lock in on the Omaha when you're in that 11, 12, 13 range, and that becomes the team you want to go to, right?
Yep.
But it just shows you too that you don't have to be from a big city. You don't have to. If you can play, they're going to find you. These coaches are so good. These recruiting coordinators at these schools, they're so good. They'll find the good players.
Perfect Game had him ranked #1 in the state of Tennessee.
When is he hard to find when you're the #1 player in the state?
Got him. Where is that guy? We'll find him. Yep, over 5'18" as a senior. But he's had some ups and downs. And he rips it past the glove of Willis and into the left field corner. Gamble will have to dig it out off the carom. And Brody Johnson standing up for his first hit in 5 games. He's just 1 for his last 26 coming into that at bat, and 0 for his last 13.
Well, he stays back, man. The hands stay back, the change up, and boy, he puts a good swing on that change up and a good hustle. And that's one of those things where when you see a guy stay back on the change up, puts a good at bat, like you just mentioned, 0 for his last 5 games. Is that the swing? Is that the at bat that kind of instills confidence? Because right now, the Vanderbilt staff, they're saying we got to roll with this guy. He's going to be in the lineup, and he's been sitting in that 5-hole even with the struggles.
And now he's in scoring position for the hottest hitter on the team for Vanderbilt. Jonathan Vastine riding a powerful 6-game hit streak that includes a pair of 4-hit games. A senior from Bartow, Florida, out of Bartow High School, is hitting .619 with 3 doubles and 4 walks over his last 6 games. 0-2 to Vastine. Vastine turned it around game 3 of the Arkansas series 2 series ago. He was 0 for 6 going into that third game. Then had a 5 for 5. He was perfect in game 3 against Florida. He is just red hot in the third game of every SEC series. And he looks at a curveball for strike 3. Third K from Crossland.
Well, Tommy, you talk about like just the way the style of offense. When I looked at Vanderbilt's offensive production, you don't look at a guy and go, hey, who scares you the most, right? It's an offense that we see these. This is the SEC ranks, right? 15th last, 14th last, right? They run, and that's pretty good. But other than that, you're going, hey, how do they win? Well, we saw the pitching stats. That's how they're winning. That's how they're 7-5. But it's an offense where one guy's going to shine. You get a guy like Vastine catches fire. But truly, overall, there's not one guy where you go, hey, I can't let this guy beat us. So they get that kind of production throughout the lineup, and that's why you see Vastine going from the 8-hole where he's been most of the season, moving up toward the middle.
Some other guys slumping at the same time, creating some movement. Here's Barcy, the sophomore from Chicagoland. He's out of Naperville Central High School. Game 2 against Florida, had to go ahead solo home run in the top of the 9th inning. One of his 4 hits on the weekend against the Gators, and former Tim Corbin coaching mate Kevin O'Sullivan. They were both assistants at the same time from Jack Leggett at Clemson. One and 2 now to Barcy.
We want to see the curveball, the slider, the changeup, and a great fastball from Crossland. So I like that. Sometimes you'll see pitchers maybe trying to feel his way out. Sometimes you got to know, like, hey, I got to empty the tank early. We have the lead. Now I just got to make sure I keep that lead. And even if I go 5 innings, hey, who cares? I'm going out there and giving my best.
Looking at strike 3. That is 4 Ks through 2 innings for Cade Crossland. He is off to a whale of a start. He is pounding the strike zone here early on.
Yeah, like you said, Tommy, 5K, 4 Ks, but he's got it with the changeup one. He's got it with the fastball right there, down in the zone. Love that, and especially going to the inside part of the plate. Love it. He does too.
Listen, you're allowed to make fun of my golf game if you don't go over the action. This ball's rocketed deep left but foul. But, you know, Peter, you get us back late. I'm never going to let you borrow my driver again. Peter's the guy who likes to show up, went around the 16th hole, and say, hey, can I just take a couple of swings? Can I jump in?
So he's fresh when you're getting a little tired. The swings are getting tired. He's fresh.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Swing and a miss on the breaking ball, and Dawson Willis is retired. Great to have you on, Peter. That's a first strikeout for J.D. Thompson after a 4-walk first inning. So walk me through what happens with a guy struggling like that between innings, and how easy is it to get back on the bike?
Well, like you mentioned, right? Once the 4th run scored and he had nobody on base, you're like, hey, can you take a breath? Well, that's exactly what he got to do. Got to sit down, regroup. You maybe talk a little mechanical things with Coach Brown and the catcher and say, hey, what are you seeing? Is there anything? Because sometimes you don't feel it. The coach can see it, catcher can see it, and they're just thinking, hey, it's so big that, hey, I think you notice it, but as a pitcher, sometimes you're so locked into what's happening, you don't feel that. And so sometimes you need a guy to point that out to you.
And on the knuckles of Trey Gamble, and the count 0-1. We talked about both of the starters we have tonight being up and down over the course of the season. Think about the Cade Anderson that Oklahoma saw last week, and the guy that's on the mound for LSU tonight. He's already out of the game. 5 earned, 6 runs, 6 hits, and 4 1/3. And he had a CG last week.
And just shows you how tough each and every week in the league, you know, what you're having to go against. I mean, because you can be good, and that's what the frustrating part of a pitcher when you go on the mound. You want that kind of stuff every time, right? But it's just never there, and you're like, why can I not throw the ball where I want to? Why do I not have the breaking ball that I had last week, or even inning to inning? And that's the tough thing. You see Thompson right now, right there, that pitch, he throws it right where he wants to, and you see him nodding his head. That's the you can when a pitcher starts to do that, you know he now starts to feel what he's feeling, and it's a good feeling for him. And so look for him to continue that success. But just that pitch that one to gamble up and in,
yeah,
the inning before, that hits him instead of being a foul ball, right?
And he is really working inside. Trey Gamble, couple of inside, including the one he fouled off in the first pitch. Gamble walked, stole second, jammed his thumb on the bag, and very nearly stole third, but went over the bag. Breaking ball off the fist into left field and into the glove of Rustin Rigdon. 2 down, and Jackson Willits coming up. Here's a look at the standings. Every single team qualifies for the league tournament in Hoover, Alabama, whereas Peter points out I lose golf balls every year. That includes a Missouri team that still hasn't had a win. Top 4 teams get buys all the way to Friday, so at most they would play 3 games.
Yeah, when you're one of those top 4 teams, that's why it's going to be so important. You basically set yourself up for a weekend rotation, right? The guy's going to stay on Friday, then he's going to go Saturday and Sunday if you go all 3 games.
Boy, it is absolutely loaded. Projections for the NCAA tournament vary. You can find those sources anywhere from D1 to Baseball America and others. And Baseball America folks have 11 SEC teams in and 10 hosted. In for a strike 101.
When coaches talk about, like in years past, right, the magic number was kind of 13 wins in the regular season.
Yeah, 13 wins in conference play.
Conference play, and then maybe you squeak out a couple wins in the conference tournament. But they also talk about how like that line is so thin, because if you're at 14, you're guaranteed in. You're at 15, you're probably hosting, and if you're at 16, you're a top 8 seed, right? So you're talking 3-game little spread to go. I think that number drops. I think it might go to 12 this year with the amount of teams and talented teams in this conference.
Johnson from behind the bag got a big time arm, and that's a 1-2-3 frame. An inning after J.D. Thompson faced 8. He needed 36 pitches in the first, only 13 in the second. Back for his senior season. Second round pick of the Sixers in '96. Played 7 preseason games. Got released and then ended up, of course, in the big leagues for parts of 4 seasons, including spelling Cal Ripken Jr.
I like that. Spelling Cal Ripken Jr.
I mean, what a run.
I remember watching those years. I mean, I was 14. That's kind of when you start locking in that Omaha, when you're dreaming as a little kid, playing at Rosenblatt.
Here's Jaden Davis. Fastball inside for Davis, who's getting the start at second base in this game. Davis had been in a starting spot at second earlier this season, and they kind of moved him around a little bit, and other guys get hot, other opportunities. Davis chops this one foul, and he had lost ground in a starting role to Mike Mancini. But with the lefty on the mound tonight, Mancini likely to return to the lineup tomorrow, and with that he'll bring a 5-game hit streak. Jaden Davis transferred into Vandy from Sanford. He's a Middle Tennessee native out of Cookeville, Tennessee. And he sends this one on a short hop past the glove of Branch and into center field. Leadoff man on for the first time. So first year in the SEC for this Oklahoma program. They hosted a regional last year. Had a great turnout. The crowd was fantastic. 11 times the Sooners have made it to Omaha. They won it twice. You saw the '94 flashback, and then back in 1951. What do you think of, like, what's the first thing that comes to mind for you? A guy who played in the SEC when Oklahoma was in the Big 12.
Yeah, well, I remember the '94. You got guys like Russ Ortiz, who I played with in Arizona. And just a great guy, but loves Oklahoma. I know he provides like pizzas to the outfield seats, and he's actually going to be in the house tomorrow. But you know, those are the types of things that's what I'm thinking of. I remember the Ryan Miner and the basketball and everything like that. So But it's a program that you always respected, no matter, even if they weren't in the SEC. And so seeing them join that, I mean, it just adds so much more depth to the conference. And not just in baseball, right? You're talking about football, obviously, a blue blood, but softball, gymnastics, those types of sports that you're like, wow. I mean, when you add Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC, you're like, okay, well, football, it's tough. Baseball, like, softball got even tougher. Yeah, the #1 and #2 team from the year before joined the conference. Thank you very much.
26 seasons in the Big 12, 4 conference crowns, including 2024. Left on top. And last week when LSU came to town, it was the first top 10 weekend series in this ballpark since Oklahoma was ranked 9th and Texas was ranked 7th, and the Longhorns came in here in 2010. I suppose Skip was a pitching coach on that team.
Yeah, I think he was.
Two and one to Rustin Rigdon, and a throw over to Chase Davis back. He doesn't have a bag on the year. Rigdon's really earned a lot of playing time as of late. He wasn't part of the lineup a couple of weeks ago. Switch hitting left fielder. Looks at a strike, 2-2.
Carlson's had a great job with that glove side fastball, away to lefties, into righties, and that should be your comfort spot as a pitcher. The go-to pitch, especially when you're behind in the count, so you see 2-1, he goes right to that fastball in.
Crossland in with the rotation 3 weekends ago. Been bothered by the long ball. 3 home runs and 4 doubles against Mississippi State. He had allowed 15 earned runs in 3 SEC games. When I say lightly recruited, Cade Crossland was not on the list. Started D2 out of high school, Ouachita Baptist, before then matriculating to Weatherford Junior College. He said, I was at Ouachita, and, you know, my fastball was in the low 90s. I'm a lefty. I said, might as well get in the portal, just see what happens. Maybe until somebody take a flyer on me. They did. Ripped to the left side and through for Rigdon. In the bottom of the order, getting it done. 8-9 hole. Couple of singles to take us back to the top.
Well, I like the way Rigdon, he fought back, right? You're down, you're 2-1, and he evens the count up, but he lays off the high slider, which Crossland thought he had, and then all of a sudden he goes right back to there and gets on top of the zone. That's a beautiful job of getting the hands up, getting on top of the ball, getting that ball in the left field for a base hit.
He's really cut down on the strikeouts the last handful of games. And so the freshman at first with Davis in front of him. And back to the top of the order, and Jacob Humphrey. Humphrey shows bunt, pops it up. Oh, what a play! Easton Carmichael, one of the best defensive catchers in all of baseball. 5th in the country in defensive runs saved. And he is showing off on this failed bunt by Humphrey.
What an athletic position right here by the catcher. Easton Carmichael sees it full-fledged. I mean, all the way off the ground. Beautiful slide. You see him stab at it, but man, look at that effort. And he's just sitting there like, yeah, this is what we do. That's a huge out.
And now one down for Mac Rose. This is an Oklahoma defense that doesn't field it cleanly all the time, but top 3rd in the SEC in double plays turned. They've turned 25 of them so far. Good feeling for the pitcher, huh?
Oh. You're thinking, all right, he's trying to bunt. He's going to be 2nd and 3rd if I can't make this play, but at least it'll be 2nd, 3rd, 1 out. I don't have to get a strikeout. And then your catcher makes an outstanding play, and it's still 1st and 2nd, and now you're 1 pitch away from getting out of here.
Did not go, according to third base umpire Vic Corral, and so the count 1 ball 1 strike. 1-1 to Rose. He flew out to center field his first time up, not in time to get Jaden Davis leaning. Davis got his arms outstretched and is chatting with Jackson
Oklahoma
Willis.
is challenging the call at second base of safe. This is their first challenge.
I love to watch the actions of the players. And Jackson Willis, the moment he catches that ball, he points to the dugout.
It may have been an aggressive move to point to the dugout.
Yeah, I think he's in. I thought he was in, and that's why when he pointed, I was like, well. But as a coach, right, Coach Johnson goes to the ears, and he's got to go with his teammate, his player, because he feels like he's got him. But I think he's in there.
Yeah. I think that probably explains the reaction from Davis. He got up and he was talking to Willits like, what are you talking about? You got bro. Saved by a whole hand. Willits is watching the Jumbotron here to see if maybe he'll catch a break.
What do you do as a coach when your guy says that? It's like, the coach goes back and watches you going, hold on. Why'd you tell me to review this? You cost us a challenge in the second.
After review, the call on the field is safe. Oklahoma has one challenge remaining.
Third inning, but still.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Hey, Jackson, let's not do that again. You leave it up to us. So 1-1 to Rose. Crossland misses low this time. So Crossland went Division II. Ouachita Baptist coming out of high school. Got his velo up a little bit. Then to junior college. Did not have a good fall, but had a great spring. And his dad is a big-time weightlifter. And that's really where he said he added a lot of velocity. Got in the weight room with his dad, put on 15 pounds. Not only the velo follow, but so did the confidence.
Tommy, I think this has to be a strike. I mean, this looks like top of the zone. I mean, when the hitter stands up, that's below the belt, right over the outside part of the plate. You got to think about these guys. They might have the stuff when you talk about velocity.
And that one's fit up the middle. A base hit for Rose. Davis around third. And he'll score on an RBI single from Mac Rose.
You know, there's a lot of college pitchers that have the velocity that professional ball players have, but it's the command of being able to establish that strike zone. And if you're not getting pitches like that, because that ball would have been now 2-2, makes it a less count where you go, hey, now 3-1, no fastball's coming, he's got to get more on the plate, and you see right there, he makes him pay with that. Rose singles up the middle sharply on just a fastball, just hits it where it's pitched, right at the middle.
And now R.J. Austin at the plate for Vandy as the Vandy boys try to whittle into this Oklahoma lead. Now, just to be clear, when you said that 2 pitches ago has to be a strike.
I think just in general, the strike zone in college has gotten smaller.
Yeah.
And I think if you talk to most coaches, they would agree that there needs to be that full zone, right? If you're thinking, if you literally go to the rule book and it's, you know, under the letters to the knees, you're not seeing that call. You're not even seeing belt called a lot of times. And I think if this is a pitch, I don't think the hitter complains. I don't think anybody complains that that's a strike. You see, Crossland, it messed with it, right? He frustrated, smacks the leg, takes off the glove, so you got to refocus, and then he grooves one right down the middle on the next pitch.
Now the 1-0 to Austin. It's in for a strike, 1-1. Could it be that Eddie Newsome is giving a little bit of room lower in the zone than up in the zone?
And there's guys that are going to do this. So you have scouting reports on teams. You have scouting reports on umpires. You know which umpires are going to be a little tighter. You know which umpires are going to let you expand. If they let you expand, it's on the upside, or if it's on the lower half, and you got to play to it. But you also got to know that if you have one of the umpires that's going to grade out in a tighter spot, you can't let that affect you like he looked like he did.
2 balls and a strike to Austin, who's hitting only a .152 against lefties and is 0 for 1 tonight. And he pops this one up into the seats. 2 balls, 2 strikes to R.J. Austin. The crowd on hand on this Friday night, first of 3. The weather is just simply perfect. A little bit warmer than it was for the LSU series. And the wind will pick up. It's forecasted to be pick up tomorrow and Sunday, but it is still as can be tonight. At the knees for strike 3. K number 5 for Crossland.
Another punch out, right back to the well, right glove side, the comfort spot, 2-2. That's where you want to throw it. Say that, I'm not going to work up in the zone. Let's go down.
The second strike he's gotten on Austin, got on Austin in the low in the zone. And now Riley Nelson. Nelson struck out looking his first time up. Nothing in 1. Three home runs on the season for Nelson. 2 have come in league play. Shift is on for the lefty, and he chases that slider. Nothing in 2. And he's pushed one across, runners at the corners, and that's one chase. So got on the breaking ball again. 6th K for Kate Crossland. First 2 reached, but only 1 came home. And Oklahoma takes a 3-run lead to the bottom of the 3rd. They'll honor Dylan Crooks with that tomorrow night. The reason they went with the blue accessories, whether it's the sleeves, the armbands, or the gloves, is because Mitchell's eyes were a perfect shade of blue. A very nice remembrance for his family each and every year. Easton Carmichael had that sensational defensive play against the leadoff hitter Jacob Humphrey in the 3rd inning. And he's back at the plate here in the home half of the 3rd after drawing a walk and scoring a run his first time up. There is a plethora of stats available at d1baseball.com, and I ended up in the rabbit hole of the defensive numbers. Yeah, these guys, the #1 catcher in the country in defensive runs saved, and 5th overall player in defensive runs saved. And it's not that he throws a lot of guys out. It's everything else that he does behind the dish. Fouls it back.
And that's the tough part, right? You had to go on the rabbit trail to find that. But when you look at a guy, like coaches know, opposing coaches know, but as fans, you're like, oh, hey, he, hadn't thrown a guy out. The guy steals, but the guy blocks really well. You saw the effort on that bunt, that just the athleticism, but also just the way he manages the pitching staff.
And he rips this one into left field for a leadoff single here in the 3rd. By the way, my new favorite podcast, the Oklahoma Baseball Experience. And I thought he gave a great answer. The host asked him, what does Oklahoma baseball mean to you? And he said, the question I ask is, what do I want OU baseball to look like when I'm gone?
Oh, I love that answer.
He's reached base twice so far tonight and passes it on to Sam Christensen.
Well, I mean, just talking with Coach Skip Johnson today, that's kind of what his mindset is too, right? He just wants not just Oklahoma, but just whatever player he's around. What does he get to leave toward that player? What can that player take away from him to make him not only a better player, but a better person off the field?
If only Skip could be a little bit more outgoing.
Yeah, tough to get words out of him, right?
1-0 to Christensen, misses.
But I love how he said that. Wins and losses, that's not what it's about, right? It's about, you know, leading men, creating good husbands, good fathers, good guys, good employees once they leave the game of baseball, because sooner or later we all put up the cleats.
Behind him, and the throw to second is in time. And E.C. Carmichael is out on the base pass, his second Sooner to run into an out here in the first 3 innings.
A nice job by Thompson, just a little lift, first movement going, and well executed right there. Nelson got on the inside part of the bag, and strong throw. Almost took him in, but that job by Baston.
So Sam Christensen ahead 2-0. Looks at a breaking ball for a strike. All right, here's a trivia for you. Guess who Sam Christensen's neighbor was growing up in Mesa, Arizona?
Mesa.
I give you a couple of hints.
Home of this. Is it to do with the Cubs? That's where spring training Cubs. Is it going to be a ball player? Or do we have that?
It is a ball player.
Okay.
Who plays
How many filters can you?
and his name has been spoken already once tonight.
Russ Ortiz.
That's right. I said Russ had seen me play since I was 2 years old. We'll count 3-2. Sam's dad Jason spent 11 years in the big leagues. In fact, Sam was born in San Francisco and his dad was playing for the Giants. Just off the plate. There's ball 4, and the pitcher next to me just threw up his hands. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but to your point, the TrackMan strike zone, which is currently how home plate umpires are judged. That's how they get promoted or demoted or paid. And TrackMan says that's probably says that's a ball.
Yeah, it's a ball. And to me, that's the catcher getting me frustrated, right? The catchers are that much better now at framing balls, and so when you watch it slow motion, yeah, that's a ball. And you're right, though. It's not like the umpires, I'm not saying they're missing it. It's just TrackMan has made their strike zone smaller, and they have to do it because, like you said, they're getting graded on it, and you know they don't want the bad grade, so they have to do that. But just see how fast, like, fans complain about umpires, so do players, but man, that's one of the hardest jobs you'll ever do, and especially if you get back there thinking about how fast that pitch is moving.
Chance for 2 on the second for 1, and the relay's not going to be in time to get the speedy Jason Walk, who already has a triple today. 2 down. Well, there are a lot of changes in technology year in and year out. And one of the biggest changes is that in the SEC, you can have TrackMan in your dugout. You can have an iPad with everything that you need on there, except they took away the strike zone, which was visible on the iPads until this season. And I've talked to numerous coaching staffs who say, you know, we argue more balls and strikes now than we did when we had it. Because when you had it and you knew whether or not it was a strike.
No reason to argue because you see it.
And you may not see in and out from the first base dugout, right? You can see up down.
But as you see a lot of times, the coach will talk to the catcher, right? And the catcher will. One of our guys would, you know, he touched the mask, or if it was down the middle, like if you missed it, he would grab the mask. And now they can, you know, with the earpieces in, they can ask him, hey, where it was, and you know, the catcher can give him a little sign like, hey, nothing to worry about. It was off. Even though I made it look like it was a beautiful strike.
Pitch low to Drew Dickerson.
So I guess when it comes down to it, we just need to say, great job, catchers, for making the balls always look like strikes.
Dickerson's from the Kansas City area, freshman from Lee Summit, Missouri, or Lee Summit West. Number 2 shortstop in the state. Also played basketball and football there. High school produced big leaguer Alex Lang, who played in the SEC. 1-0 to Dickerson. Out straight back. So you'd like to see the strike zone go back to what it was, and to do that, you know, all you have to do is tweak TrackMan a little bit. You can put in the parameters.
Well, like you hear coaches talk about it, right? We've already mentioned it. The stuff is there. It's the command of the pitches and repeating your delivery, repeating the pitches. Guys just can't throw into that little bitty box like you see Major League Baseball guys do. I mean, that's why they're at the top of the game and they're in the big leagues. And most of the coaches around here would say, hey, you could give those shadows, which are not getting called now. And if you get that ball in the shadow, it's good enough to be called a strike.
Yeah. And if you get in the box, that's enough to blow up the Death Star. I mean, that's like trying to fit it into a toaster. 2-2 to Dickerson.
Most of the coaches aren't arguing about the balls that are called strikes. They're so worried about the strikes that are not called, right? The ones that are in the zone that are called balls, because that's when you're really going to, crush a pitcher and create a huge inning.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Dickerson. It grounded into an RBI at third base in the first inning. Two balls and 2 strikes.
How about that move from the lefties? They're the lucky ones that get to face the runner, because they're looking for that front foot to lift, and all of a sudden you pop that athletic position, back foot off, and whip a throw over there.
Right through the fastball at 91. Strike 3 for Dickerson. Missed opportunity for the Sooners. 1 hit, 1 left on. 4-1 OU through 3. Hey, what a pivot point in this season. Thank you, Peter, because you were talking about it. We're now at the midway point of the season, or will be soon. What a win for Texas A&M last night. Caden Sorrell with a walk-off in the 10th inning. They outlast and get an 8-7 win against South Carolina. As Brody Johnson leads off the inning. And they've now won 4 in a row. Midweek win, and they took a doubleheader sweep over Tennessee to close that series.
Well, the team has unbelievable talent. I mean, you're not preseason ranked #1, so it's one of those where, hey, don't let this team get hot, because they're that good. And I always love to say, when you look at the SEC and, hey, how's the team looking? How's these guys going to be? Like, it literally is about when you play a team, where you play a team. Like, so if you got a chance, if you had to go on the road and you're going, man, we had A&M. Well, if you caught A&M early this year, you had some success. Well, if you catch them later, who knows what it's going to be? Doesn't matter where you play them. If they're catching fire, they're that good, they can do it. And they have the lineup to really carry a team and the pitching staff. So that's why they were #1. Yeah, watch out if they get hot.
Johnson has that one missed long, and they still have a trip to Dish Falk Field in Austin coming up. Couple of weeks away. You think there might be some emotion in the building that day? Jim Schlossnagle facing his former team. He needs to send a thank you letter to the league office and say thank you for not playing that game in College Station. Got a ball loose in right field, and Sam Christensen tried to throw it into the bullpen and left it short. And A&M is blasting South Carolina 15-0 right now.
We got some big scores out there. Arkansas got 11, A&M with 15, State's already got 9. Auburn put up a 7 spot on LSU already. Where's that Friday night pitching, right?
I don't know. Great question. Friday night hitting. Here's Willits at short. Shows off his arm. 1 down. Well, tomorrow SEC Network has 2 top softball matchups, and that includes at 3 o'clock Eastern, number 6 LSU in Bryan College Station to take on the 3rd-ranked Aggies. Then under the lights, 8 o'clock Eastern, and number 11 South Carolina plays at number 10 Arkansas. Both games, 2nd game of respective 3-game series. Kate Crossland facing Jonathan Vastine right now. Vastine is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Crossland's a big book guy. Are you a reader?
I am not. I am probably the farthest thing from a reader. I bet I haven't read more than 5 books in my entire life.
Your entire life?
Yes, and those were only because it was English class, like in high school, where like you had to read over the summer, and one of them was a book where my wife said, "Hey, if you want to know what my heart is like, read this book." So obviously, I had to read that.
So
one.
There's 2.
Yeah.
How many of them? How many of the
a couple
others
sports books?
How many of those others have been colored in already?
I think 1. Couple pages were missing because somebody colored it really nicely. They took it away, but no, it was. I am not a reader. especially, I mean, I'll read like stats and other things. I like articles, but books, I can't last that long.
Well, Crossan is a true bibliophile. He read all the Harry Potter books as a youngster. 1-1. Grounded to the right side. Backhanded pickup by Taki. And he said the longest book he read, according to my favorite podcast, by the way, The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, 1,500 pages. How long would it take you, one book or 15 books, to read 1,500 pages?
Okay, so this is just to show you how my reading skills and knowledge is. I look at that as I'm going to go 10 pages tonight. And that's kind of how I look at things. And my wife's like, you can't do that. You just got to read, get into the book, and you won't want to put it down. I'm like, no, I can't wait to put it down after those 10 pages. So 150 nights.
Yeah. Half a year.
Yeah.
I mean, you're on a 2-book-a-year pace. That's not terrible.
Oh, if they said a book, it was instantly how many pages and how big are the words? Because I wasn't a very quick reader. The speed reading when we were kids did not come into my mindset.
Were you like LeBron, like you would pose with a book and let people think you were reading it, and then not even turn page 2?
You know, in college, when you get your books, right, you go to the bookstore and pick up all the bag of books for your classes. Like, I didn't need those. I wasn't using them, and so they gave them to you. I'm like, I don't need them. I'm going to bring it back just like this. Never cracked them open. I'm like, so finally my senior year, taking a class, one of the last classes in my finance stuff, and the teacher wrote the book. I'm like, nah, I guess I got to read this thing. Read the first chapter, didn't really understand it, didn't read anymore.
Yeah, we're done. 1-2 now to Colin Bartsey. At least you can pitch.
I'll figure something out.
Bartsey struck out looking his first time up. He's 0 for 1. Missed upstairs. I don't know if he's going to see a breaking ball. He's got a 100% contact rate on curveballs. If you're Crossland, do you figure curveball shape and velocity of curveball and slider are the same in reaction to the scouting report specifically on Bartsey? Do you just assume it's any breaking ball?
You're sitting next to the pitcher, and if you talk to all pitchers, we feel like our stuff is better than the other ones. So, but he doesn't go. He goes change up, and then a little stare down on the way out.
Strikeout number 7 for Cade Crossan. We'll speak with the skipper, Skip Johnson, head sooner when we return to Norfolk.
Make quality pitches.
Skip, thanks for your time. We'll let you get back to work.
Thank you, guys.
That's old school coaching, tricking. That's the trick. We just got to trick. Keep tricking them, trick them for this game, and then we'll trick them again.
There is no tricking. But no tricking Skip Johnson. If you ask him what pitch was thrown in game 2 of the series against Kansas in 2006, I guarantee he can pick it out. Know exactly what I'm talking about.
In that conversation, right, he's like, I'll remember this the rest of my life. And I almost wanted to say, Coach, like, you could say that about everything. You have remembered everything. I mean, yeah, he will give you the details. I mean, he breaks it down. And, I mean, it's detail-oriented guy. And it's like, you're right. The pitch here, what player, he'll tell you what his big league career was like when he made his debut. Then he goes back to the story. I mean, it's a phenomenal storyteller. But you're talking about, like you said, he has spent his entire life in baseball, and that is what you love to see, a baseball lifer telling stories.
Nelson off the dribbler, and he's safe over at first as Dayton Taki hustles down the line for an infield single. Just a tweener.
Yeah, this is one of the tougher plays, PFP, especially the lefty. Finishes, you see Thompson finishing on that third base side. The first baseman has to charge, and then you also have a lefty out of the box, and he's running good. I mean, it's executed nicely, but see, Thompson gets there and doesn't quite get to the bag in time.
So leadoff man on for Kyle Branch. By the way, you saw the 2 bases 90 feet from home plate, 1 green, 1 white. In that scenario, the base runner is charged with hitting the green bag and the fielder the white bag. First pitch, sky to left. Rigged in underneath. 1 down.
That's what J.D. Thompson needed, a quick out. You know, such long first inning, those 4 walks, you had racked up 36 pitches in that first inning. already at 74 just in the fourth. He needs those quick outs like that. I mean, even if you don't have a shot to win the ball game, right? You want to keep the team here, keep the bullpen, save some of those arms, and think about if you have the more bullets on Saturday and Sunday, you have a better chance to win.
Here's Dawson Willis. Looks at a breaking ball upstairs, 1-0. That's why I feel like, to your point, if OU can hold on to this lead, it will almost feel like they stole game one with the ace going tomorrow.
Absolutely. And then you have, I mean, you're the only thing bad about pushing Kyson back one, and this is what they kind of went with at the beginning of the season. They had Kyson and his twin brother Malachi, who throw very, very similar. The stuff looks very much the same. It's 93 to 97, 98 from both of those guys. Now, Malachi has a little bit more sink. Kyson plays a little bit more up in the zone, but still, you look like you're facing the same guy. So that would be the only thing, but you're right. You steal game one with Cade Carlson, all of a sudden you have a future top 5, top 10 pick and Kyson Witherspoon throwing. You got to feel good about winning the series.
Well, it's really the perfect time, if there is such a thing, for this to occur. Oklahoma State in the midweek, and then you go to Missouri next weekend. Swing and a miss. And if you wanted to get Kyson back on track into the Friday night spot, you don't take anything for granted. In all respect to all opponents, you understand that the place you're going next week is dead last in the league without a win.
Oh, it doesn't slip your mind. It's definitely there, but you're right. Coach Johnson preaches, you know, the one pitch mentality, one pitch at a time, be where your feet are. So you can't even think about in the game thinking about pitches down the line of the game because that's not where your feet are. So he's not going to be thinking about that. But you're right. You could move him up and get him back into that spot. But if Cade Carlson pitches this good on a Friday night, who knows? You maybe let him stay there for a little bit. But that's why when we talked about the beginning of this, the open and everything about how pivotal this game is Oklahoma needs to get back on track because then they head to a very winnable series in Missouri. But when you look at Vanderbilt's schedule, I mean, it is loaded with 5 straight teams in the top 20, finishing up with Kentucky, who I feel is a team that could jump into the top 25. So that would be a brutal way to finish, and that's why you can get one of these right here, get to 9 wins. Winning this series would be huge.
And Georgia, top 10 team coming in Nashville's West End next week. Full count now. Dawson Willis. Here's what's next. The sweep of Florida and the sweep of A&M, incredibly valuable because you're allowed to bank so many wins off one series.
Well, you were always told as a player, right? Win the game, win the series at home. And if you're going to lose this series on the road, just don't get swept.
Third strikeout for J.D. Thompson as he gets Dawson Willis looking.
He settled it nicely, and a lot of it's been just he was really, really up in the zone. And a lot of times you get shorten up that stride, maybe get some more extension out on the fastball and the breaking ball, and it's got him in a much better spot. And you can see the results so far: 2 zeros and a chance to get the third one in a row.
First trip through the batting order, he had allowed 6 Sooners to reach base. Second time through, only 2. And now third trip for Trey Gamble. The leadoff man drew a walk in the first, flew out to left field in the second. Gamble's from Alpine, Utah, to Lone Peak High School. Brother plays at BYU, and he fits this one through the left side. Taki stops at second. 2 on with 2 out.
Or just a beautiful inside out. That's where you want to throw it if you're J.D. Thompson. He puts it right there, but look at him keep the hands in. Beautiful inside out swing. I mean, like 18% of the balls are going that way if you're Trey Gamble, and he's able to fit that one in the hole. Nice job right there, extending the inning.
So 2 on for Jackson Willits, who grounded out the third his last time up. He was walked in the first inning, and he swings through a fastball, 0-1. Jackson's riding a 6-game hit streak. Sophomore out of Fort Cobb, Oklahoma. Fort Cobb Roxton High School. Little brother Eli is the youngest draft eligible prospect in this summer's draft. He's committed to Oklahoma, but then again so was Bobby Witt, who then signed with the Royals for $7.8 million. And Eli's going to have a fat wallet come draft day, it seems.
You're right. Yeah, he is committed to it. That is by paper only, or I guess signed now, right? These kids have already signed in November, but yeah, he is one of the top high school shortstops in the country. I would think he doesn't last past the 15th pick.
Pretty good shortstop class in the top end of this summer's draft,
especially high school kids.
Willett swings right through it. Strikeout number 4 for J.D. Thompson, and Oklahoma gets 2 on thanks to a couple of hits, but the Sooners are stranded 4-3-4. Time to check on the good hands plays brought to you by Allstate.
Kate Carlson been really good. Nice 7 punch outs. Only 1 walk. He's mixed in slider. Even when he didn't like it, he still got the punch out. But boy, that fastball glove side has been perfect. And when you follow up with the glove side, that slider down, that's why you get these numbers. 7 Ks, 0 walks, only 4 hits.
He's already tied his career high for strikeouts. 7 of them for Crossland. What a route he took to get here. Division II, then junior college. His mother's family is from the area. Therefore, he grew up an Oklahoma fan.
It's always fun when you're the recruiting coordinator and a 6'4", big, tall lefty that throws 96 is a OU fan, right? It makes it easy to recruit those.
All right, so you're not into books as that pitch misses to Jaden Davis. Let's dig in deeper into Crossland's hobbies and see if this matches for you. Kate Crossland's big into Legos. He's got 30 different sets at home. He says the Oklahoma baseball experience. This one in the air to right, drifting all the way back is Christensen, and on the track and down. You're a Lego guy?
I'm not a Lego guy, but I do. My brother-in-law, huge Lego guy.
Okay.
Like full-on basement, full of Legos, bricks. That's what they're called. We can't call them Legos. But really cool things. And I was going to say, when you are a Lego guy, it's full force. You go all in on Legos.
You've never met a guy who's kind of in.
No,
there are nobody over 13 is kind of the Legos. Here's Rigdon. Talking to the Vandy staff about Rigdon, and they raved about the fact that this dude just plays ball. From Metter, Georgia, outside of Savannah, he had an arm injury his senior year of high school. All right, so he's a switch hitter. He throws right. But because of the arm injury, he couldn't throw. So his senior year of high school, he played center field left-handed. 101.
Yeah.
And it's not Jarangelo Sinja.
Right. Not there yet.
Two-handed pitcher for Mississippi State.
But like you're starting to see those guys kind of paved the way, right? Pat Verdetti, those guys were going, hey, well, maybe I could just mess around. Man, I tried to do that, and you're like, it's the worst thing ever. But Coach Corbin said he even pitched a couple games like that once he figured out he could do it.
Vendetti at least had a custom glove with 6 fingers on it. So he was invested in it.
He was the guy.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Rigdon. And I guess if you can switch throw, of course you can switch hit. That's what he does. Been 1 for 8 in the Florida series. But that 1 hit was a home run, and he sends this one deep into left center. Walk able to catch up to it. 2 down. And now Jacob Humphrey. Humphrey is 0 for 2. He was at the plate with a couple of runners on when his bunt attempt was snared by Easton Carmichael behind the plate. What do you got on Humphrey's stance, especially relative to what you see as a pitcher?
You see the guy when they crouch down a little bit, obviously you're thinking, hey, the strike zone's smaller, but when he goes to stride, he's going to raise up a little bit, so it puts it back in the same spot. And as a pitcher, we have to throw to the glove. You know, you can't think about what the guy looks like and how his stance is. the one thing that would mess with me when those guys were the high leg kick guys and they would lift the leg before you go to pitch. I'm like, oh, he's about to unleash one. I did not like when that guy would lift that leg as I came through the plate. I'm like, uh-oh, he's getting really ready.
I don't want to be anywhere near the strike zone with this dude. Foul of third, 1-2 now to Humphrey. .510, 180, senior from Standish, Maine. He started his career at UMass Lowell. He was in the American East, 22 and 23. Captain of the basketball team in high school at Bonnie Eagle High School. Also played football. Upstairs 2-2, and no surprise, Tim Corbin, not only a football fan himself, but he loves to recruit multi-sport standouts.
Especially one from the Northeast.
Oh,
when he starts talking about the Northeast, his eyes light up a little bit more.
Just off the plate, full count. Third full count for Crossland tonight. Here's the 3-2 to Humphrey. Out of back.
Good on that after being down 1-2. Crossland missed pretty big with the 1-2 fastball. He was trying to go in, missed up and away, but then being able to lay off that fastball away, it was just barely off the plate. Now you put yourself in a count where you really expect a good hitter's pitch, and you don't get it. You foul it off just like he did.
3-2 again. Fouls another one off.
Against right-handed hitters, Crossland is almost 70% fastball when he gets 3-2. And that's just believing in that down and away or glove side, more or less down and into those right-handed hitters.
Again, payoff. And he misses with the fastball. What do you think? I'm going to put you in the spot here. There's with 2 strikes.
Mm-hmm.
How many pitchers in this league or in college baseball, top of the line pitchers, would have similar numbers in terms of pitch selection with 2 strikes with the fastball? Because I think a 3-2, it certainly changes the dynamic.
Right. I mean, I think you have to be able to establish your fastball, so it needs to be that high. It needs to be a thing where I'm okay with throwing that fastball, and he was there. The mechanics just are a little bit off. He's flying open just a hair, and that arm stays. It's dragging behind. That's why you see when he's trying to go in, that ball stays away. It's the same thing on that breaking ball he just throws to Mac Rose. It's left behind. The arm's not getting out in front. But you have to be able to go to that glove side. That's where, when you feel comfortable, that's your just go-to pitch, right? So for him right now, that down and away to a lefty is that go-to pitch.
Former high school teammates here, Rockwall High School in Texas. Mac Rose and Cade Crossland.
You know, not just high school teammates. That's his catcher. So who knows you better than that but your catcher? Does a good job. I love how that front leg, as he lifts, it comes across the body, just keeps that hip locked onto that catcher a little bit longer.
Both of them went the JUCO route before ending up at SEC schools.
And every time I would play against a former teammate, and especially my catcher in college, we'd play against each other in minor leagues. He'd get up there and smile at you, and you're like, man, like this guy knows what I want to throw more than I do. I mean, because he called so many pitches.
Runner goes, and that one gets all the way to the backstop. He thought he was hit, but the home plate umpire didn't point. And Eddie Newsom's going to have Rose stand back in. It's a stolen base for Jacob Humphrey, who leads the SEC now at 17.
Yeah, you see Rose kind of almost like he leans in and then peels away, but I think Carmichael's glove might have hit Rose's elbow guard.
Rose already has an RBI single. He's 1 for 2 tonight. Breaking ball up 3-1. Well, I bet Rose is looking out there crossing and thinking, Dude, this isn't the same pitcher I saw in high school. You had 0 offers out of high school, and now you start on a Friday night for a top 20 team.
Bro, it used to be 89 in high school. Now you're throwing 96 on a Friday night. What's the deal?
3-2 now.
Yeah, that's not fair. You mix in a 3-1 breaking ball. Oof.
Payoff pitch. Low. Back-to-back walks. First 2 walks of the game for Crossland occur here in the 5th inning. And with the top of the order, and it leads him with the 3-hole hitter, R.J. Austin.
Well, Tom, you always hear coaches say in games like this, right, your best players have to be your best players sometimes. And right now, Vanderbilt needs R.J. Austin to break out of the left-handed pitcher slump that he's in. I mean, he's, like you mentioned, 152 coming into tonight. I mean, they need a big hit into the gap. Watch him run. Let him use that speed more than anything.
Came in hitting 152 against lefties. 0 for 2 tonight. A fly out and a strikeout. Outside 1-0. Austin had 5 hits in the Florida series, went 5 for 13 last weekend. 2-0. But of the 8 outs, 4 of them came via strikeout. There's nobody throwing in the Oklahoma bullpen as of now. And Skip Johnson will make a trip to the mound. It was a 14-pitch first inning for Cade Crossland. Put him down in order, worked his way around 1 hit in the second. And the first 2 reached to start the third, which prior to this remains the heaviest workload of the night so far. Great talk with Skip today, and part of the conversation was, listen, I'm not results driven. The wins and losses don't matter. It's about making, to your point earlier, it's about making them better people, better men, and the process. And he talked specifically about how he began to work with coaches, with pitchers at Texas after one egregiously bad outing by his pitching staff in a loss to Missouri on the road. And first rounder Aaron Crow, big leaguer. Because that changed almost overnight. Outside 3-0. And so the competition games that he would dream up between his pitchers, all about getting a feel and finding the strike zone.
But I like the fact that how he did that, where it's competition more often, right? Because as pitchers, especially if you're the Friday night guy, you only compete technically every Friday night, and you don't get those chances to better yourself at competition. So I like how he did that with those guys, and basically saying, like, hey, he's just trying to get in the zone. Like, you have a spot to throw to, right? As pitchers, we don't need to focus on anything else, right? Nobody in the stands, 10,000 people in the stands, on the road, whatever. Like, if you focus on the glove, you throw to your target. Yeah. If you can get better at doing that, it doesn't matter what's going on in the outside circumstances.
Well, count 3-2 now. Bouncing back from a 3-0 start to Austin.
And then he would say, if you had 2 guys competing against yourself, right? If you got 12 pitches to throw the ball where you want to. The loser, double your sprints when you lose.
3-2 with 2 on and 2 out. Runners on the move. Ground ball. Glove by Willits. Thrown to first in time. Big league play by Jackson Willits. It's short. They keep Vandy off the scoreboard.
Or R.J. Austin thinks he's got the hit. Man, you're thinking you got this.
Talk about benefits of coming to the SEC, huh? Breaking ball in for a strike to Easton Carmine.
Yeah, that was going to be my comment. I'm going to say that number is going to start getting pushed down, because you're going to start seeing teams like A&M, Texas, these kind of programs come in where they're closer. They're more of that old school rivalry.
Chopped to third. Off the bag is Johnston. 1 down. Let's get in the studio. Here's Peter Burns. amazing. 5 straight wins now for A&M. They take the series from South Carolina. Here's Sam Christensen in for a strike on the breaking ball. And what's amazing about it, I had their game Friday at Tennessee. They got no hit on Friday. Christian's going to have a chat. And not only to get no hit, but we left the ballpark. And just to be perfectly honest, thinking, well, how is this team going to win a game? The body language wasn't good. The competition factor wasn't good. Nothing that you saw that night was good. Not only did they get no hit, they got one. Since then, they haven't lost.
And the offense woke up. And I don't know if that's hey, you challenge the guys like, hey, we have to figure something out, or it's going to be a really long season, right? Because it doesn't get any easier. Anywhere you go, there's a chance you could get beat every single night. So, but the offense has woken up. The pitching had been there for the most part all year, at least good enough. And then once that offense caught fire, now you're starting to see the A&M that was preseason ranked #1.
26 runs over 2 games at Tennessee. By the way, Weston Moss in relief last night behind Prager struck out 8 in their first game of the series against South Carolina. Nothing in 2 to Sam Christensen. Double home run first time up, goes down looking here for the 5th K of the night for J.D. Thompson.
This is the start we thought we'd see. J.D. Thompson rolling, 3 straight zeros, and the hiccup in the first inning. 4 walks was so out of the ordinary from him. The breaking ball is good, maybe a little bit up, and that's why you see Carmichael take that ball and give up on it.
First pitch torched under the glove of a diving Vastine. 2-out single for Jason Walk. He's thinking 2. The throw is away and backed up by J.D. Thompson. The hair wide, and Jackson Walk has his 2nd extra base hit.
Well, Tommy Speed killed, right? This ball was scorched, and all of a sudden, out of the box, you can see it. He's thinking double, great turn, and just, base running, knowing how to do it. I love putting the pressure right there. You got to execute. If he catches it, he's out. But when you got a 3-run lead, you put a little pressure on it. You get a guy in scoring position with 2 outs. So it was a great job right there by Walk.
Oklahoma on a 4-game losing streak. The Sooners are 15-5 at home. Got swept by LSU last week, and DBU came in and walloped them. Dickerson 0 for 2 tonight. Ground out and a strikeout. Thompson will go ahead and throw to second. J.D. Thompson nearing 100 pitches. He needed 36 to find the first 3 outs. He's gone over 100 only once this season. That was 2 starts ago. He threw 101 in a 6-inning loss to Arkansas, which he got tagged for 5 earned, thanks in large part to 3 home runs. Clock not going. Pitch is swung through. 1-2. On 2 to Dickerson will wait. There's another throw to second. Walk 9 for 14 on the base paths this year.
I don't know if that's a pitcher not feeling comfortable with the pitch, because I don't think Jason Walk's gonna, with 2 outs, he's scoring from second base on any kind of hit with his speed. I don't think he's gonna take that chance to steal third with 2 outs.
He's scoring from second on a bunt. 2-2.
But a lot of times, since you can't just step off now as a pitcher, you have to pick, right? That's the only way to kind of reset your mindset.
Two to Dickerson from Thompson. Swing and a miss. 98 pitch of the night is his 6th strikeout. He needed just 11 pitches in the 5th. 9 of those were in the zone. Another man left out for the Sooners.
Cormier, we go
to the top of the 6th inning. First ever trip for Vanderbilt here to Norman. In the 5th all-time meeting between these programs, it's dead even at 2 wins apiece. Riley Nelson looks at a first pitch strike. Nelson has struck out looking and swinging tonight. To the right side, handled by Taki. 1 down. And with 1 out, Brody Johnson coming to the plate. And by the way, if you joined us late, this is an Oklahoma staff that is anchored by Kyson Witherspoon, likely top 10 pick in the draft. And a lot of those scouts will be here to watch him tomorrow night. Brody Johnson at the plate. Back tightened up on him after a weightlifting session midweek, so he was pushed back to tomorrow. The SEC injury report, which is new this year for baseball, is a daily report. It comes out the day before each series, so when a player is listed as out, sometimes I think there's a general misunderstanding. They think he's out for the entire series. It's just for that next game. What is the ceiling on Kyson Witherspoon in terms of not this year, but a baseball career?
Oh, I mean, to me, it's one of those where it's the easiest 97, 98 coming out of him, so mechanics are repeatable. It's not a max effort guy, and a lot of times when you see max effort guys, that's when you're thinking maybe, hey, the guy's going to get hurt. Is this the top of what he is? The mechanics are so smooth and easy, the ball just jumps out of his hand. No telling what he could do, but I just love the way he goes out there and competes. Such a good kid. They talk about just outside of baseball, how good he and his brother are and how close they are, but just, good boys that go out there, love to compete, love to play the game. And when you have a guy like that with that kind of stuff, going out there with the mental toughness that he has, I think he's a big league pitcher.
1-2 pitches popped up and out of play earlier this season against Minnesota back around Valentine's Day. He set his career with 12 strikeouts. Didn't walk a batter. He allowed the leadoff home run. Then he retired 13 in a row. He struck out 10 straight against Sam Houston State on his way to tying the career high with 12. And in conference play, he struck out 11 against Mississippi State. 100th pitch of the game for Crossland. Chased it. And another K for Crossland. He set a new career high with 8.
Well, he goes right back to the well. That's the pitch that Johnston doubled on. It's a changeup, but this time he keeps it away. You see that ball just fading away from it. Nice job of getting his hands through that ball, coming off that pinky. And you can see he's excited. He knew that the changeup was the pitch that he got him back. He said, I'll show you that same one and get you.
Waiting on a K. There it is. Here's Bastine. Vandy senior shortstop is 0 for 2 tonight. Didn't go. 1-0. Friday night is a premier night in college baseball, especially in conference play. That's when your ace throws. And I wonder if just moving up a day and that Friday night starter affixed to your name, even if it's just for 1 week or a couple of weeks, got Crossland pumped up.
It's real. There's no doubt about it, because that's what you know, when you think about it, you always want to be that guy. I want to be the tone setter on the weekend.
At the end of the bat and into center field for a 2-out Vastine single.
Yeah, I think Crossland has accepted that challenge of Coach Johnson giving him. And it's not like it was one, hey, necessarily he earned it, right? Because it's just a matter of a little bit of a back spasm, right? Not a big deal, but you get pushed into it, and he'd had some up and down starts. But right now, boy, he has taken that ball and truly set the tone in giving the opportunity to give that ball to Kyson Witherspoon for the series win.
Well, he goes 103, and that'll be the end of the line for Cade Crossland. 5 2/3 innings pitched, and you turn it over to the bullpen, and James hit coming out of the pen for Oklahoma. Crossland in line for the win. with the bottom third of the order coming up for Vanderbilt. Fantastic outing for the normal Saturday starter to step in and get after it tonight. Career high 8 strikeouts against only 2 walks, and he holds his Vandy offense in just 5 hits. Kate Crossan leaves with a W next to his name. Can the bullpen hold it? 3-run Sooner advantage. Four to 1, Oklahoma leads Vandy. First game of a 3-game series, and the Sooners are now in their bullpen. And lefty James Hitt enters for Oklahoma, senior from Magnolia, Texas. They go lefty to lefty here. And Hitt will face the bottom third of the lineup with 2 out. This will be his 15th appearance in 17 innings. He has struck out 21 against only 6 walks.
Yeah, when you look at the numbers everywhere you want to be, right? Less hits than innings. Strikeouts are higher than the innings. 3 to 1. A little bit more than 3 to 1 strikeout to walk ratio. 89, 94. So it's really good velo, cutter, slider, curveball change. He's got it all.
What's that fastball?
94, up to 94.
Every lefty throws 94 these days.
You watch every guy that comes out of this Oklahoma bullpen. It's going to be up to 93 to 97 out of the bullpen. Left-hand to right-hand, doesn't matter.
Hitt only made 1 appearance in the LSU series. He threw 3 innings on April 3rd. Hasn't allowed an earned run in his last 2 outings, both LSU and Bama. That April 3rd game was the 2-0 loss. The first game of that series was pitcher's duel. And now Callum Bartsey at the plate. He is struck out looking and swinging. Bastian is the runner at first. And that hit for Bastian extends his hit streak now to 7 games. Four to 1 Oklahoma lead. Sooners got all 4 in the opening frame. Outside, it gets to the backstop off the glove of Carmichael. Bastian advances.
Little cutter. Looked like he didn't even get a chance to get out front of the hand side of the ball, and the ball just kind of escapes out of it. Gives Vanderbilt a runner in scoring position with 2 outs, where you need a big 2-out hit. I think he can steal a run right here.
Most of the production has come from the bottom of the lineup tonight for Vandy. To the left side, and Willis took his time and threw it in the dirt. He gets into the dugout for an extra base, and that will allow the run to score.
You nailed it, Tommy. Took his time. It looked like he had that ball. It was a slow chopper. It didn't get to him quickly, and so he stays back on it and then just really cuts off that throw. Ball gets him dug out. Gives Vanderbilt a little bit of momentum. I mean, without the wall pitch, he's now at second and third. Still got a chance to get out of the inning with no runs, but with the wild pitch, he's able to score, and you got another guy back in scoring position.
6th error of the season charged to Dawson Willis, and the hit-old hitter Jaden Davis at the plate. Low 1-0. Vandy's got a couple of right-handed bats that have been in the starting lineup, or probably left-handed bats have been in the starting lineup, didn't get the opportunity to start tonight. And Skip Johnson keeps the lineup the same by going lefty-lefty here with hit following crossing. Here's the 1-1 to Davis. Skied it to the right side. Taki in foul territory. Back into play, and he makes the catch. Last second adjustment, split second adjustment, and Smiles coming off the field.
Boy, this is a scary situation, right? That ball's up. It looks like it's foul. Look how low he catches that ball. You're taught to catch it above the head. He catches it below the waist. Still an out, though. 4-2.
Well, this Oklahoma offense was stymied not only by a top 10 LSU staff, but also Dallas Baptist in a 9-1 loss midweek. And man, have they figured things out tonight.
Well, that was self-inflicted, right? I mean, J.D. Thompson gave them 4 walks in the first inning. They scored the 4 runs with only 2 hits and really haven't manufactured anything else. But when you get the opportunity, you score some runs, and that's exactly what they have, and got the 4-2 lead.
J.D. Thompson nearing 100 pitches, misses with a breaking ball to Dayton Taki. I mean, listen, if somebody comes to you with a gift, are you going to not accept it?
You got to accept it. But they also had to execute. When you look at the scoreboard, the 4 zeros in a row, that's the J.D. Thompson we thought we would see.
What do you think was going on in the first inning? He walked 4.
Yeah, and he came in averaging 2.5 per 9. It's just a matter of mechanics. Couldn't get comfortable. Was up in the zone, up and away, up and away. And a lot of times that means the front shoulder's flying open. You're releasing the ball a little bit behind you, not getting that extension.
To the right side, Davis can't get there in time, and it gets through him to allow Taki to reach to start the inning for the 2nd time tonight. There's action in the Vanderbilt bullpen. The Goof getting loose. And with 1 on, Kyle Branch coming up. Branch has put the ball in the air twice. He's flown out twice. And Tim Corbin is out of the Vanderbilt dugout. And that'll be the end of the line for Thompson at 101 pitches. After an inauspicious start with 4 runs and 4 walks in the first inning, Thompson settled down nicely. But the Doors go to the pen. I'll tell you what the new guy after this. Ended with 5 walks in the night. And he leaves with a runner on. 5 innings and 7 hits for J.D. Thompson. Luke Guthers, the new pitcher for Vanderbilt. Guth, the sophomore from Franklin, Pennsylvania, 6'1", 182 right-hander.
That's going to be up to 93 with the heater, low cutter, slider, curveball, change, and a split. This guy's got it all, right? His per innings low, strikeouts low, ERA. I mean, this is what you want from a guy coming out of the bullpen, high leverage situation. So got to give J.D. Thompson a lot of credit. You know, could have sailed in it after that first inning, but he kept his composure, kept his control out there, and he leads, and it's a 4-2 ball game. Team's got a chance to win. That's everything you want from your starter.
The last 3 games Guth has pitched in have been of the blowout variety. Through 2 innings in the midweek against Dayton, which was a 9-2 win. Through less than an inning in the 11-3 win against Florida, and pitched in a 9-0 loss to Arkansas. 8 2/3 innings pitched. He's allowed a total of 5 hits on the season. 3 of those came in his first out. Breaking ball finds the edge for a strike.
You look at his past outings, it's a situation where you're finding a guy just developing a role for himself to be more of that high leverage innings guy.
They say win, 0-2. It was interesting talking with pitching coach Scott Brown today, and he said, you know, we've gotten to a place in baseball now where it's not a traditional closer like the big leagues. Like you're going to go to a guy to try and preserve a lead in a high leverage situation, and it might be the 5th or 6th. Vandy just trying to keep it close here in the 6th inning. Although history would indicate it's an uphill climb. Oklahoma is 19-0 this year when leading after 6 innings. Branch looks at a low, 2-2. Fly out to right field and a fly out to left field. And sends this one deep in the gap in right center. Austin backing up Humphrey, who makes a catch. 1 down.
Those are the exact type of outfielders you need when you play in a ballpark like this. This is a big ballpark, big outfield, 330 down the line, 385 in the gas, 410 to center. But you got 2 center fielders that can cover some ground in R.J. Austin and Jacob Humphrey.
It's a big ballpark tonight. Here's Dawson Willis, and I stress that because tomorrow wind will be gusting to about 25. Foul territory. Nelson, 2 down, and there's a good chance that wind is blowing out tomorrow. So buckle up.
Yeah, they'll play like a little smaller ballpark. When you look at, you always hear the term Texas Leaguer. It's just because some of those outfields in the Texas League and AA minor league are so big. If you didn't have outfielders that could run, boy, those bloopers would just fall in, and you get guys hustling and get you a double.
Did you pitch in El Paso?
Oh, that was my AA team, the Diablos.
First pitch fastball in for a strike. Trey Gamble, who's 1 for 2 tonight.
I think they're Chihuahuas now.
They are the Chihuahuas, yep.
And moved up to AAA. It was the Diamondbacks AA. I think it's San Diego AAA.
Breaking ball in for a strike. Throw to second is late and wide. And a stolen base for Taki. Archie seemed to hesitate.
Yeah, it's the perfect delay steal. You got the left-hander at the plate. Just a shuffle. Watch right here. Shuffle, and then take off. Catcher doesn't know. No one says going. And he can't see that out of the corner of his eye because the left-handed hitter. That was perfectly executed by the Sooner offense.
Breaking ball just low. Guth wanted that one 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes at Trey Gamble. Breaking ball in the dirt, 2-2. Gamble's an Eagle Scout. I only made Weebelo. What about you?
I was in Boy Scouts and I don't remember. I don't remember what they were. Didn't go very far. I don't know if it was the knot tying or the starting of the fires. But look at you now.
It would have been really hard for you to learn about knot tying, considering you don't know how to
read the book. Yeah, they can't even weed, right?
2-2 here in the 6th. Breaking ball sent into center field where Austin waits for it. And that'll close the Oklahoma threat after the leadoff man got on. 6 stranded through 6 for the Sooners, but they have a 2-run lead. This is the game summary. Do you know what it does?
Summarizes?
Yes.
This game.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. 2 runs on 5 hits for Vandy, 4 on 7 for Oklahoma. Sooners got all 4 of the runs in the first inning. And starting pitcher Kate Cross instead of career 8 strikeouts. How else would you summarize this game?
I'd go with the pitching, right? Kay Carlson was good. The stuff was good. I like J.D. Thompson. I really like watching him throw the ball. Obviously, mechanics weren't there. The rhythm wasn't there. A little bit off in the first, but, man, he settled in nicely.
So here's Rigdon, and he looks at a first pitch strike. James hit. Nothing one to Rigdon. Rigdon only started once in the Auburn series. Swung off out of his helmet nearly there. Then 2 starts against Arkansas in the midweek against Eastern Kentucky at 4 hits, including a walk-off single in the 8th inning. And it seems to have catapulted him into more playing time, more at-bats. Vandy has dominated its midweek opponents. Upstairs, 1-2. They're undefeated in the midweek, and more than half of their wins have come via the run rule.
That's the mark of a good team. Doesn't allow teams that they're better than. Usually when you think of midweek games, it's not quite the opponents in the SEC, and so you take care of business when you can and not let a team stick around.
Check swing. He went. And Rigdon strikes out for the first time in the last 4 games.
The changeup was so nasty. He's got him sit back. The hit goes fastball out and away. First base coach Blankenship didn't think he would. Yeah, he goes past that threshold.
So back to the top of the order, and Jacob Humphrey. The top half hadn't got much done for Vandy today. Commodores have 5 hits. Only 1 from the top 4 hitters in the lineup. That was the Mac Rose RBI single in the 3rd. One-0 to Humphrey. In for a strike, 1-1. Humphrey's got a 5-game hit streak on the line. It's a fastball upstairs, 2-1. Humphrey leads the SEC in steals this season. Picked up his 17th tonight. And he sends it high and deep to right field. Christensen at the wall. It's gone. 3rd home run of the season for Jacob Humphrey. A solo shot to right.
Offense just sticks around. All of a sudden, little lightning right here. Fastball outer third. Beautiful swing by Humphrey. And the Commodore faithful out there in right field. Boy, he hit it. They threw the hands up. There's about 10 or so fans out there. And, throw it back. But, yeah, beautiful swing. Strong out there to go out. Oppo Taco.
You know, it's a bold move to buy tickets in the outfield, no matter the stadium, right? I mean, you're lucky. The berm bums might try to step up on it.
But right when he hit it, I saw the hands go up, and I was like, all right. Then we got closer. Oh, those are Vanderbilt fans.
You didn't ask yourself, where am I?
No.
0-1 to Rose. Now 2 of the 3 home runs for Humphrey this season have come in league play. Here's the 0-2 to Mac Rose. Off the plate. James hits set. Swing and a miss. 10th strikeout for the Oklahoma pitching staff tonight. It's the second executed by hit.
Well, James hits. Everything's hard, right? It's the fastball hard, it's the cutter hard, the slider. He went cutter, slider, and then he goes back up the ladder. 93. That ball's running on that lefty, just high enough over the zone.
And now the 3-hole hitter, R.J. Austin. Vandy trailed this game 4-0 after 1. They put up single runs in 3 different innings, the 3rd, the 6th, and now the 7th. Austin is 0 for 3. To third, picked up by Willis. This throw is true. And that ends the 7th. The last not before Jacob Humphrey got into one.
Yeah, a little Oppo Taco from Mr. Humphrey. Lets that ball travel deep, shows how strong he is. And we got a ball game, 4-3. The Commodores just keep staying around.
It's a cruel trick. The Tennessee off the schneid after losing the series last week to A&M. Here's a look at the top 25 teams. 10 of them in the top 25. You said Kentucky should be there. That would be number 11.
I think we're at 13 have been ranked. When you look at Mississippi State early on was in there. Obviously A&M was in there. So it's just talking depth-wise. Kentucky, Missouri, only teams that have yet to be ranked.
So let's talk about the new pitcher in the game for Vanderbilt. After Guth goes 2/3 of an inning. 6'5" lefty Miller Green gets the ball for the Commodores. He threw back-to-back games last weekend against Florida. He ended up throwing 21 pitches over 2 games. 0-2 with an ERA of 3 even. 17 Ks in only 2 walks.
If you'd like to kind of strike out to walk ratio, it's nice, right? But another lefty, 94 topping out at.
Breaking ball in for a strike on the first pitch to Jackson Willits.
Command of 4 pitches, mixes in a cutter, slider, curveball, changeup as well.
Give me that fastball velocity again.
91 to 94.
Oh,
Gone are the days where lefties were sitting 84 to 88 with a little movement, big glove, crooked hat. Those aren't quite there. Lefties come out with stuff now. Still might have the crooked hat and the quirkiness.
But could. 1-2. Good play with a guy named Dwayne Jacobs. Didn't think so. 1-2. Jackson Willits is 0 for 2 tonight. A ground out and a strikeout. Two balls and 2 strikes. You were with the big unit for a minute, though.
04 with the big unit, my rookie year. Worst team in the big leagues.
On court, deep left field, and gone. Willits has extended the Oklahoma lead with his 9th home run of the year. Got every piece of it, and it's now a 7-game hit streak for Jackson Willits.
Willits came in 379 off of lefties. The power's been from the left side, though, so he didn't hit a power on the right side of it, but jumps all over this fastball above the belt, getting on top of that 94-mile-an-hour heater.
Big-time insurance run for Oklahoma to make it a 2-run lead again, and this one's into the Sooners dugout off the bat of Easton Carmichael.
Speaking of the big unit, right, we were 51 and 111. in 2004.
51 wins and 111 losses.
Basically, it was big unit every 5th day and a bunch of AAA guys, and we'd lose, but we'd have a shot every 5th day. I think unit was 16 and 14 with like a 1-something that year.
16
very
out
frustrating.
of 51 wins.
Yeah.
Was Brentley the manager?
He started. He was the first manager, and then
He was the first. That's never a good sign. Carmichael flies out to Austin instead of. Yeah, he was our first manager.
What I meant was when I got called up, he was the manager. Got sent back down. Got called back up later in the year. And Al Padrique was the manager at that point.
So you didn't get Brentley fired, no matter what he claims.
He does claim that.
Well, you were in AAA.
I was one of them.
How is that possible?
I was one. That's what I'm saying. I had one start.
Here's Sam
It's that bad of a
Christensen.
start, though. It was.
Breaking ball in for a strike. You started to say about the big unit. You said it was a terrible team. And I really thought you were going to say teammate. And I was like, well, that's a bold move, Cotton.
No. I mean, it was a guy, obviously Hall of Famer, went about his business, did everything he can, what he needed to do. It was one of those things you definitely did not talk to him on the day of the start, right? But you get a chance personally to talk with him. He's a big collector now, obviously photographer, so is. Yeah, good guy.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Manny put the shift on with 2 strikes on Sam Christensen. A dribbler foul. 1 and 2. Did you know the big unit was going to be a shutterbug?
Did not know that was a passion of his.
I didn't even know that was a phrase. It just came out of my mouth. A shutterbug sounds like a guy who likes to take pictures.
Shutterfly is like a picture company.
Oh, that's right. Those are the books you've read. The picture books.
Picture books. Yes.
There was
How
a
about
vacation to
him
Europe.
and King Griffey Jr., right? Griffey's credential at the Masters, taking pictures, seeing that on Twitter.
2-2. Breaking ball to first. Nelson takes it 2 down. Until the shutterbug originated in the 1930s. I am old school.
You brought out some words. What was Kate Crossing or what?
Bibliophile, loves to read. 2 down. And Jason Walk coming up. What would you call a Lego collector? Is that a thing? Walk is 2 for 3 with a triple and a double.
I'm trying to think.
I'm told that the term is AFA, adult fan of Legos.
Well done.
In the right center field, and Walk. Stop there.
The moment hit it, I was thinking the same thing. Hold on now. I know you want to go to steal this bag. Don't take the double. We're just waiting on the big one, right?
Yep.
Cycle watch. There's a shot. Bottom of the 7th. Shot to come back up. They tied the ball game.
And we get an offensive timeout here. Already a run across here in the 7th on the 9th home run of the season from Jackson Willits. Drew Dickerson due up. He's looking for his first hit. Sunday, the Rally Cap crew is going to break down the entire weekend in the SEC and the Diamond, both baseball and softball. Highlights, analysis, and interviews. Preview of the upcoming week with a look at the best matchups. Coverage begins at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Where are you next week?
I got Easter off.
Oh, good for you.
Easter off.
Big one in Baton Rouge, Alabama at LSU.
You got that?
Yeah, Thursday and Saturday. Oh, the pickup attempt goes way over first base. And Walk could have walked to second. I don't think Walk saw it when it occurred.
Yeah, big time errant throw. That ball wasn't even close. Yeah, right here. He doesn't pick up, or he picks up the third base coach, but he's not waving him on. I think he just assumed he was going to be coming because it would have been easy going into third base.
Yeah.
But like we talked about, though, he's scoring no matter what. But now you take away if it is a wild pitch pass ball, he would have scored if he's at third base.
I think everybody in the dugout saw that ball sailing out of the hand of Green while Walk was stepping back to the bag with his back to it. Dickerson drove in a run with a ground out in the first. 1-1. In for a strike with the breaking ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Looking forward to seeing Alabama next week. Justin LeBron, shortstop.
Homer, 3 for 4 tonight. Homer, couple RBI.
How would you rate his arm?
Oh, it's a 70 to 80 arm from the shortstop. Ease, whippy. That's one thing he can do. Make the plays at shortstop that looks so easy to everybody else because he's so smooth and fluid with it, but extremely hard and difficult. That's gonna be a good little series. Like they all are, right? Everyone is.
It's just so incredibly unpredictable. 2-2. Breaking ball up. Full count to Drew Dickerson, who struck out each of his last 2 trips to the plate.
I mean, you look at the Bama game now, right? It's Mississippi State 13-3 in the bottom of the 8th. Bama 7-5, State's 3-9, coming in reeling, and you're thinking, hey, this is going to be a series you can win at home, and about to get 10-run rolled.
Green issues a walk to Dickerson. A home run by Willis. It was a pop-up and a ground out, then a walk single and a Dickerson. It's weird when a player's name is Walk because they say walk, single, walk. Then again, Hit is on the mound on the other side for Oklahoma. So
we've got some good ones.
Brownie had to have a word with Miller Green. By the way, peeking ahead to the Vandy half of the 8th, it'll be the 4, 5, and 6 spots due up. And I think normally you would look at that and go, okay, well, that's our only chance to come back in this game. But the fact of the matter is, the bottom of the order, Davis and Rigdon have done a really good job tonight.
Right, but that's where you go, hey, if you can get anybody on, then you're bringing your hotter hitters up with men in scoring position. But you got to give a lot of credit to the OU offense. The lead started to dwindle, and they put some pressure on it, picking up another run.
First pitch fastball in for a strike to Dayton Taki, who is 2 for 2. Very similar, but a ball, 1-1. Two hits tonight for Taki. He's reached base safely all 3 trips, and he's turned around an 0 for 9 and to extend it a 1 for 16 slump. Two and 2. Runners on the move. It's off the glove of Barnsey. Here he comes. Walk trying to score from second, and he's safe. Dickerson advances behind him. Jason Walk just scored from second base on a wild pitch. Actually, may have been a pass ball. Should this one have been caught? Yeah. Scores from second on a pass ball.
Well, Jason Walk makes me eat my words. I said he needs to get to third base and score a wild pitch pass ball. He said, no, I can do it from second, right? But you got to love the hustle. I mean, a good throw, he's out. Same thing that happened on his double. Second base, a good throw, he's out. But you put pressure on defense, and Colin Barzey slides, spikes it to Miller Green, and now able to come up the play.
And this ball is rocketed in the corner off the bat of Taki. Dickerson scores. Taki chugs his way into second base with an RBI double, and the Sooners feeling good about it here in the seventh. A 3-hit game for Dayton Taki.
That's a huge hit right there. 208 off of the lefties coming in to play. And this is Miller Green, a tough lefty, man. That is a beautiful swing. You got to keep the front shoulder closed. And you can see the excitement knowing that he was in the slump. But now it's 4 for 4 on base, and he is excited when he gets there because he knows how tough of an at-bat that was.
And that must feel great for him, a relief. He's had a 4-hit game against Northridge on March 1st against Cal State Northridge. Since then, his first 3-hit game, and remember the slump that he had been in coming into this one. He's 3 for 3 tonight.
I think they got a wild pitch.
What do you think?
I thought, like you, I think he hits the glove. Now, it's in the other batter's box, so it's tough, but he was set up out there.
I would guess, not to dig too far deep, but I would guess Colin Bartsey would say, I got to catch that.
Yes.
That's on me.
And, you know, it's not protecting the Oklahoma, you know, the hometown score, maybe protecting it, but it does count if it's in pass ball. It's an unearned run.
Johnson to first. And that'll finish it off. Jackson Willits spells it with an X.
Yeah, he got the party started. Fastball up in the zone. He jumps all over it. But how about the Sooner offense? Kept it rolling. Put up a 3-spot. 4-run lead here in Norton.
A couple of crooked innings for Oklahoma. 4-run first and a 3-run seventh. And as we head to the 8th here in the first game of the series, it's 7-3 Sooners in a battle of top 20 teams. Tom Hartland's Gourmet, one of the things we talked about coming into this game tonight was the fact that this could be a pivotal series for either team. Right now, especially from an Oklahoma standpoint, listen, if the SEC gets 10 hosts, they're in line to be host number 10 as of right now. You get into the weeds about it. We still got half of conference season to play. But man, a series win would do wonders for this Oklahoma team that's coming off of a 4-game losing streak.
Absolutely, especially like you mentioned, going to Missouri right after this one and feel like, hey, now we can get a streak going. But still, that's the hard part as a player when you look at numbers and you don't look at how you're playing, right? You see, hey, we're 5-7, we have a losing record. So that's the negative things that creep into your head. But as a coaching staff, you got to get to the point where, like, hey, just keep plugging away, and all of a sudden you still can be, you know, 15-15 or 14-16 and have a shot, maybe a couple wins in at Hoover, and you are a host.
Just like Doran. I mean, just keep swimming. Just keep swinging. You end up at Wallaby Way. 42 Wallaby Way.
42.
1-1. Got it foul. Off the bat of Riley Nelson. It looked like in the top of the 7th, Vandy was climbing back in this thing on a solo home run from Jacob Humphrey. Made it a 1-run game. Willits answered moments later with his home run. They would tack on a couple more in the 7th. Riley Nelson is 0 for 3. Came inside on him. Two strikeouts and a ground out for Nelson. Big weekend here in Norman. They've got their spring football game tomorrow. And their quarterback in play. Fouled off. Brent Venables' team breaking in new quarterback, and it feels like everybody's going away from spring games this year. You get spring flings, spring carnivals, spring dances, everything but football. Nobody wants to put out a depth chart, and nobody wants to expose their players to the portal. Hello. Test your reaction time.
Oh, man, that was. You see Reggie Willis right there going. He didn't have a chance to move.
7-3 Sooners. Here's the 1-2. Strike three. Third strikeout for Hitt. Well, talking about football and on a baseball weekend, let's revisit what this guy could do. Kyler Murray is here from 17 to 19. The Oakland A's gave him a bunch of money. He said, come play baseball for us. No, I'd rather go to the league. I remember we had the regional in Louisville, and I was working that with Chris Burke. And Chris Burke, big base stealer in his days in college, SEC player of the year at Tennessee. And we talked to Kyler after the practice going into the regional, and Berkey says, hey, what's your routine? What's your plan? What do you do on the base paths? And Kyler Murray looked at Chris Burke like he had 3 eyes. And he said, I run. I'm pretty fast. And it just, the look on Berkey's face, he was almost insulted that you could be a base runner and not have a plan. Into left center, walk on his horse, and he reaches up for the grab. What a play by Jason Walk in center field. Boy, Oklahoma has flashed some leather tonight.
Oh, he is doing it all. You got the triple, the double, the single. How about this now? Valiant effort, great read, good jump, athleticism. Man, that's, you say double play is pitcher's best friend. I like that when my center fielder goes out there and runs one down on the gap.
Right after we show the Kyler Murray highlights.
Well, we talk about Chris Burke on the bases. That was, you knew he was going, but you couldn't stop it. It's one of those where like the only way to stop him from stealing was to get him out, which that junior year, not many people got him out that year either.
Vastine is 1 for 3. Ooh. But Carmichael in the undercarriage. Well, I think what really, and I don't want to put words into his mouth, and he's not watching tonight anyway. But what really bothered him is that you would go into anything without a plan.
Right.
Anything. And so as a base stealer, Chris Burke thought of it as an art. It wasn't just, as great an athlete as he is, it wasn't just pure speed. It was setting up the pitcher, it was reading the pitcher. It was the nuance of how big the lead is, or could you bait him into a throw by getting a bigger lead. And Kyler Murray, no, I'm going to go from point A to point B, and I'm just going to go.
See front foot move, and I take off. But that's where also Berkey's thinking, well, he's that good at stolen bases. He has to have that plan. Then when all of a sudden he realizes, wait, if you don't have that kind of plan, oh my gosh, then his mind's racing going, well, imagine if you put this plan into place, how much better you could be.
The A's, I think he paid him back, right? I mean, they gave him something like $4 million. Here's the 0-2 to Vastine, and it's low and away. $4.6 million signing bonus. Gave it back. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. We got Kyler Murray back in the day, and we got Jason Walk tonight. Pick a super.
Here, it's all about the jumps you can get right here. You got athleticism with Kyler Murray, obviously. But Jason Walk says, hey, if he can do it, I can too. I'll make it look even prettier. 7-3. Sooners.
That is Friday night. Let's rewind to when the sun is still shining back in the first inning. After 3 walks, Sam Christensen brings home a run with a double. Jason Walk with the first of his 2 extra base hits. Clears 2 more with the triple. And OU is off and running. Added 3 more in the 7th. And here we are in the bottom of the 8th. With a 7-3 OU lead. And Vanderbilt has gone to the bullpen. To be the 3rd reliever of the night, it's Tristan Bristow, freshman from Texas.
Bristow's only got 2 innings so far this year. It's only got 1 hit, but this is a situation where you're trying to get the guy in the game situation. Now, hey, you figure that it might have gone on. You want to save your higher leverage guys in case you take the lead tomorrow or even Sunday, but getting an opportunity, and that's all you can ask for. A freshman, you get an opportunity to get out there on the mound. See what you can do.
From Helotes, Texas, they got a great high school softball program down there.
That stuff is good. He's got electric arm. It's up to 95 with the heater. Fastball slider combo.
See what you got. Pitched earlier this week against Dayton through 7 innings. That was, as he said, just the 2nd outing of the year. 94 out of the gate. Facing Dawson Willis. Two and 0. 94 again. By the way, going back to the Kyler Murray story, he was drafted by the A's in June of 18. He was expected to be the Sooners starting quarterback in the fall, but he was not projected to be a 1st-round pick in the 19 NFL draft. So the A's said, hey, here's all this money. Sure, you can play 1 more season of football, then focus on baseball moving forward. I think it's worked. He's made $134 million in the NFL. He was guaranteed 14 with the A's. Willis comes up with a hit. It's his first of the game. So think about that. You're risking the $14 million that the A's have guaranteed you, in addition to the signing bonus of about $4 million. In a physical sport where we know anything can happen from an injury perspective.
He's also smaller, right? If you would think of what a prototype quarterback would be in that position, like sometimes you got to bet on yourself. That's what he did. And he wins.
Yeah, he wins. He was obligated to pay back 1.29 of the 1.5 million signing bonus he had already received to that point from Oakland, and then he forfeited the remainder. Throw over to first. Remember when he was in the cage and he was taking cuts when he first showed up at Texas A&M. And there was some thought that he could play there. The runner goes. Throw down to second from Barzy is late, and it's stolen base for Dawson Willis. Did you play with any 2-sport standouts?
Let's see. One, we had Spencer Pennington played. He was starting quarterback for a couple games at Alabama. Big time first baseman, 6'5" guy. I think that might be the only guy.
2-1 to Trey Gamble. I'm going to go ahead and, with all respect to Spencer, say that's a no.
Well, when you say standout, right?
Yeah.
I think Spencer was one of those where if he would have given up football, I mean, he had the body, the power, that type of thing, but when you're the quarterback, you have to take so much time trying to win that job. It pulled him away from concentrating on hitting and all those other things. Yeah, it's always the what could have been.
Yeah. And for a strike to Gamble. 3-2.
I think was last year it was down to 13 players in Division I that played football and baseball.
In all of Division I,
yeah, because the Oregon Texas A&M Super Regional, I forget his name, is the center fielder, was the linebacker for Oregon.
Bounce up the middle, past Davis. Oklahoma's going to tally another 8-3 Sooners on the second hit of the game for Gamble.
Well, it's almost like the Sooners fell asleep thinking, hey, those 4 runs were good enough early. They ate 5 straight zeros, but the offense has woken up again. 3-run. Now you score another one. Still got nobody out. Mecca of a good offense is that consistent just pressure that they put on you. And now with that 5-run lead, these guys are wanting to run, create more pressure against you.
The last 4 games, Oklahoma averaged a run and a third and 5 1/3 hits. 8 runs on 11 hits tonight. Well, it helps when it warms up a little bit. It was brisk for that LSU series.
Brisk for those Tigers too. They're not used to that coming from South Louisiana.
Willits now has a 7-game hit streak. He was all conference in the Big 12 last year, named to the Big 12 tournament team. And this was about the time he took off. Reached double-digit home runs after April 5th of last year. Must have gotten a really good Easter basket. Low and away. 2023 Oklahoma Player of the Year at Fort Cobb Broxton. The senior in high school, he hit .620 and had 42 stolen bases. How many high school games do you think he played to get 42 bags? 25?
Well, yeah, and that's what makes you ever hear the numbers from Connor Griffin, the Pirates first-round pick last year? 80-something stolen bases last year. Like sooner or later, you're going to get on behind somebody that just can't run. They get picked off so I can steal second and third home.
Coach, we need to clear out this traffic jam. Tell Bubba to get picked off.
At 620, that's unbelievable.
Two one. Outside, 3 balls in a strike.
You notice Colin Barzey right there jumping out after that catch because it's that same situation, lefty up, thinking maybe delayed steal again.
That was a strike, even though Willits thought it was ball 4. They move Brody Johnston to the right of second base, the third baseman in the shift now. Runner on the move, and a sinking line drive to center, gets down, throw bobbled, and no play. R.J. Austin may have had a play at third from that angle. Runners at the corners, still nobody out.
Another good job of the lefties. The hands stay in, just shooting that ball the other way. You're right. Pressure, base running speed, making R.J. Austin comes after that ball, bobbles it. That's such a pretty swing, so compact. That's 3 times that the OU base runners have put pressure on the Vanderbilt defense, and the throws haven't been there. They haven't been able to pick them up, and then right there he couldn't make the throw.
First offering low with a fastball to Easton Carmichael. Third base runner of the inning. And that means that Todd Butler is just standing over there collecting gear. The Oklahoma first base coach, what do we got? We got shin guards. He's got his cheaters on. We got arm guards. It's like a yard sale over there.
He's like, please give us a pitcher's mound meeting. Someone come over and collect all the gear.
He's going to have to start going out there with a backpack.
That's one thing I noticed if you ever watch Tennessee. They have like two guys. One guy goes gets the bat. One guy goes picks up the gear from the guy at first base every single time. Saving that first base coach from having to. I want to see him put it all on. Right?
Yeah, he could put it
he
on.
He could put it on the shins and just start.
You've known Todd for a long time. Do you think he's a man purse kind of guy or a fanny pack kind of guy? Yeah, I didn't think so.
It would be a backpack.
Maybe a camouflage backpack.
Yeah.
2-2.
Sulphur, Louisiana, Cajun style.
Been in the game a long time. Love talking recruiting to him. The calendar is so different now than it used to be.
I don't know how that phone he has to walk around with a portable phone charger because he is on that phone all day long.
Bird dogging. That one gets to the backstop. Another run will score. A wild pitch charged to Bristow to bring home Gamble. And they weren't paying attention, and neither was I, and Willitson's up at third. And Tim Corbin is out of the Vandy dugout.
Spikes. Bristow spikes that breaking ball, and Barzy doesn't see it at first, so he's kind of looking around, and watch Willits. Gets about halfway, maybe not halfway, but he sees Barzy just flip it to Bristow, and right as he flips it, he knows not got a shot. That's just instincts, man. You can't teach that kind of base running.
So that'll be the end of the line for Bristow. This thing is all Oklahoma, but don't go anywhere. Lance Guy has an incredible story next. Matthew Shorey is the new pitcher for Vanderbilt. Shorey is a freshman from right there in Nashville. 6'2", 176-pound left-hander. This will be his 11th appearance. He's 2-0 with an ERA north of 7. He's worked 8 2/3 innings so far this season.
Yeah, typical lefty is one of those where you're playing that percentage, trying to bring in face the left-hand hitters. 89 91, maybe a tick a little bit more, but mixes in the slider as well as a changeup. The situation where you just kind of come in, just kind of put out the fire.
He inherits a 3-2 count on Carmichael. With Christensen on deck. So you had 2 minutes to come up with your best story, and I don't feel like you're really locked and loaded. So I will go back to a story that you told before the game. We had a chat with Tim Corbin. You know, the SEC tournament now with 16 teams on the baseball side has been expanded, and it will include, for the first time, every team in the conference. So as an end result of that, the top 4 seeds don't play until Friday. Single elimination throughout. And one of the things we talked about with Corbs is the fact that the SEC tournament, as it was constituted, infield is in, chopper up the middle, and what a beautiful play on a shorthanded pickup by Vastine. 1 down. Well, the infield staying in with 1 down, I suppose, and Christensen coming up. The beauty of the SEC tournament is also the one thing the coaches didn't like about it, and that's you've got to play, and you got to get in scenarios where you might play guys who haven't played, and specifically pitchers are going to get an opportunity to throw. Maybe it's somebody who hasn't thrown all season or had barely thrown, or they're the midweek starter. But pitching staffs do get taxed, and it's one of the reasons they went away from double elimination. Christensen swings through the 0-1. You had a scenario when you were at Alabama where a guy had barely pitched all year.
Yeah, we had a situation freshman year. We finished number 2 in the conference behind Arkansas. They had won the conference by a game. We had swept them, so we felt pretty good. Beautiful pitch right there by Shorey. 2 quick outs, but we got to the point where we faced them in the championship game, and you're down to nobody. We had 4 pitchers who didn't pitch in the conference tournament just because of trying to rest. We were going to be a national seed, so Coach Wells pitched a guy named Jeremy Vaughn. He had an inning and I think an inning and third or an inning and 2/3 all year. He has the ultimate game of his life. Listen, I get chills again. You even saw him. It's one of my favorite moments of all of college. Everything I got to do is to watch him pitch that game. Goes out there 7 1/3. We begged Coach to let him go back out for the 8th just to come out and get a standing ovation, because it was 19,000 I think might have been still the record in attendance at the Hoover Met. And to see the smile on his face when he walked off, it was one of those things that, I mean, I'll still remember to this day. We talk about it. But yeah, you have to have guys that can step up, and that's the awesome opportunity that you get when the pitching staffs do get taxed, and you're at the end of the year and a couple guys might be nursing some injuries that you want to rest. You find that diamond in the rough, and he ends up going the next 2 years in the weekend rotation because he saw what he could do.
2-1 to walk. Fouled back. There was Todd Peterson, a pitcher for LSU a handful of years ago. LSU was in an extra inning game down to no bats. Palmineri said, "Who here can swing a bat?" Peterson says, "Coach, I hit a lot in high school," which is a flat out lie. And he ends up rocking an extra base hit.
Fake it till you make it.
That's right.
Act like you know what you're doing.
Probably only plate appearance of his entire career. To third. And Shorey does his job. Quick work. Very quick. We go to the 9th. Last chance for Vanderbilt. Down 6.
Missouri.
Well, here's what's coming up for Oklahoma. They rekindle an old Big 8 rivalry when they go to Como next weekend. This is just the SEC games on the calendar. Then you go on the road to number 7, at home against number 6, a Kentucky team you said will probably be ranked by then, if not. And oh, by the way, number 2 Texas to close the season.
I love how they put that Texas game the last weekend, their first ever matchup against each other in the SEC. But I mean, you think when you look at that schedule, you don't see an A&M who was number 1. You don't see a Florida who was top 5 to start the season. You don't see a Tennessee who was top 5 to start the season. You're looking at going, man, we got a shot.
We got a break.
And then all of a sudden you go, oh, dang, well, A&M and Florida starting off 1-8. Like, that's what we want to play now. Oh, boy, the scheduling is just tough. Every weekend, 10 weeks, super regional preparation.
That is 12 Ks, if my math is correct. Collected by Crossland and hit. And so Michael Catalano, freshman from Frisco, enters. 6-foot right-hander, 2-0 with a 4.70 ERA. Better than a 4-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. And the first pitch jumped on by Colin Bardsey. And Bardsey, look at that touch pass to Christensen. The throw to second will be late. I always think to be a great fielder, you have to have great anticipation and creativity. And watch Jason.
Yeah, this is creativity. If this guy gets thrown out, it would have been like, right, he's got to go play the lottery or something. The only bad part about that is he's left-handed, right? Yeah. So you flip it to a guy that's left-handed, and Christensen has to turn all the way around. If he was right-handed, he might have a shot.
They'll lead off double for Bardsey. And that'll bring Jaden Davis up. I remember talking.
We were talking about strikeouts, 12. How about Catalano? He's got 23 punch-outs in 15 innings. He's going to try to rack up, get that number a little bit higher.
I thought one of the most creative fielders I saw was Brandon Phillips when he was playing for the Reds.
Yep. Did that a lot.
He did that all the time. And I talked to him one time about, I don't know how you would describe him. I mean, if you're a simpleton, you might say they were trick plays. Tossing to his second baseman, throwing behind his back, all of this stuff. And he said, they're not tricks to me because I practice them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're part of my routine to practice it every day. And if your body is turned in a certain direction, well, the best way, the most direct way to get it to the bag to try and turn to is to go behind the back or to do a glove flip. That's fine, as long as you've practiced it.
Right, because that becomes the experiences that you have. And so when you see guys take balls off the bat during live batting practice, that's the best way to do that.
Touch deep center, walk, got turned around, and on the track makes an over-the-shoulder catch. Bartsey tags and moves to third. One down, and Rigdon coming up. Walk got up a little bit gimpy with that right arm when he made the diving catch in the 8th. Yeah, he's not feeling right. I mean, he's feeling right enough to be 3 for 5 with a triple, a double, a couple of runs scored, and 2 driven in.
A couple acrobatic catches.
Yeah,
you could tell on that throw because he just caught it, flipped it in, didn't try to get it in strong.
1-1 on a breaking ball in the dirt.
Players will let you know it doesn't feel good. You know, the moment they do it, start to shake it out or go on and rub it.
Fastball misses away. 2 balls and a strike. Rigdon singled his first time up. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Seen some lopsided scores in the SEC tonight. What do you make of that? Because it's one thing for everything to get sideways on a Sunday. It's another thing for it to occur on a Friday. This ball's lifted into left field. Gamble on his way over there, makes the catch. Bartsey tags, and he'll come home, making it a 9-4 game. Oklahoma happy to trade it out. Is it small sample size, or can you read it?
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's small sample size for this week, right? Because it's random. You wouldn't expect some of these scores, you know, especially when you look at offenses like Tennessee and Ole Miss. That would be the one you would go, hey, but that's a 3-2 ball game. But the rest of them, you had Arkansas score 13, A&M 17, Auburn put up 8 on LSU, Mississippi State 13 on Bama, and you got 9 over here. So it's a big-time Friday offensive production.
Not a good night for the ERAs. Missouri and Florida were rained out. They'll play a doubleheader to close their series tomorrow. That was a Thursday start. 1 ball, 1 strike. I'm just fascinated by this A&M 17-0 victory over South Carolina in a series win. High fly ball, right center field. Christensen underneath, and that will do it. Oklahoma takes game number 1. Their first ever meeting with Vanderbilt here. 9-4 is the final. Crossing the winner. Thompson takes the loss in a game that checks in at 3 hours and 17 minutes. And the Sooners snap a 4-game losing streak. In the process, they end Vanderbilt's 5-game win streak.
Much needed win for the Oklahoma Sooners. Kate Crossan, career high 8 Ks. He was the tone setter on Friday night, taking over for Kyson.